is the Big O Show. This 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 is the Big O Show. This
So here's the putting green. See? There you go. Got two flags. One is over there where Cutter's Edge Pro. It's not coming out now. Come on. Come on, wind. Give me a little wind. No, unfortunately. But there you go. And this one says Big O here. There you go. So there's my putting green. It's about, I would say about 25 feet, something like that. I get to practice, have a little fun. See? And then, of course, we got, the bunkers. Got to have the bunkers, man. Got all kinds of bunkers there. You know what I'm saying? So that's a taste of our backyard. There's Maiden right there. Maiden. Bono, how you doing, Bono? Bono. He's a Carolina dog, by the way. These dogs are amazing. Their temperaments are awesome. But there is the Sylvester Palm, which is just beautiful. All right, call my guys, Will and Mike at Cutter's Edge Pro. They will take care of you. Dogs are not included, okay? Can't include the dogs. Those are mine. But the exceptional work, oh, baby. Oh, baby. Yes. Make your home an oasis. CuttersEdgePro.com. Go to their Instagram page, by the way, so you can see a lot of the before and after work that they do. And it is exceptional, baby. This thing's been on here for about 9 months. No grass growing through it or anything like that. Right, Bono? Huh? Bono!
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Radio Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated. They offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayum is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayum, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayum can help. Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Welcome aboard Rock and Roll, baby, on a beautiful Tuesday. Well, I hope it's a beautiful Tuesday wherever you are. Hope you're hanging in there. Thank you all for tuning in. Yes. Sean Stanley masters the show. On a day where we got a little bad news, unfortunately. And we'll talk about that. Got a bunch of guests today, as always, on the show. Got a couple things to talk about, right? Obviously, the A-Chain news just came across the wire about 2 hours ago. That A-Chain will likely miss a few weeks. So we'll see what happens dealing with a knee situation. Doesn't seem like it's serious because if he's only going to miss a couple weeks, they're not putting him on the IR. So, hopefully it's not that big a deal. So we'll see. You won't have him for the Eagles. But you've got plenty of depth at that position. And that's the good thing. And this is another reason why you don't spend big money on running backs, because running backs wear down very easily. So you have to have a carousel of backs. And that's exactly what the Dolphins have. Mostert is healthy. Wilson's coming back. Chris Brooks is ready to go. He knocked the crap out of someone this past week with a block. So, Brooks is, he'll be fine. I think he'll be very productive, overall. And I think the offense will be incredibly productive. You're not really, you shouldn't miss Achane at all this week against the Carolina Panthers. Would you like to have him against the Philadelphia Eagles? Yeah, you'd like to have every weapon possible against the Eagles, but you got to find a way to get it done. And that's it. Listen, injuries happen, and you got to try to find a way to overcome them. And the Dolphins don't have a lot of injuries so far this year. It hasn't been something that it's been as debilitating as it was last year. Last year was just brutal with the entire secondary and the quarterback issue and, all the other the offensive line. You had some injuries there and all that. It was just like a disaster all over the place last year. Fortunately, it has not been the problem this year so far. You've had a couple of injuries, but not enough to really derail your season like last year. You know what I'm saying? So it sucks that Achane is out. Totally sucks. But it's not the end of the world. The Dolphins have something they rarely ever have: depth. Hell, they never even have a running game. They actually have a running game and they have a bunch of running backs. They'll be fine. Don't worry about it, okay? It's all good in the hood. It's not something that you need to be, oh my God, the world is over. You can win in 2 weeks against Philadelphia without a chance, okay? So get it done. That's all. It's time to start winning these kind of games. That's what the Dolphins have to do. Dolphins have to start winning these games. And they could get it done. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about them crossing that threshold. That's what I need them to see. I'm not worried about, do they have enough? They got enough, as Eric Spoelstra would say. John Padilla is number one here in the chat board. That's it. That's impressive right there. That's like a new name at the top of the list there. With the What's Up Fam, Cash the Jeweler, Kyle Cockrell, Gus 1388. By the way, Gus 1388, thank you for sending me that yesterday of the Patriots fans. That was funny. Let me see. Let me search for that again. I should actually play that for you guys, because Gus 1388, who is an absolute gem of a human being, he is always on top of it, and he's always sending me stuff. And he's constantly on social media finding all kinds of stuff. And yesterday he sent me a video of Patriots fans complaining and calling in on a show. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm looking on the wrong one. Yes. I think I have to look at replies. And he sent it to me, and I thought the audio was absolutely freaking hilarious, dude. And I don't want to play the video because we'll get tagged with it. But let me see. Let me see if I can find it here, because it's hilarious how the Patriot fans, here it is. How the Patriot fans, it's like only a matter of time. Let me see. Here we go.
Hey.
We're not hearing it, though. We're not hearing it. I'm not hearing you now. I think you're muted, or something. I don't have you. I don't hear you.
No. I'm sorry. Okay,
Okay.
so if I were you hearing the Patriot people talk?
No, as soon I heard like a voice start, and then it went like on my end. I don't know what everybody else was hearing. But I didn't hear anything.
If I play this, we'll get tagged, right? For sure.
More than likely, but I can tag it out. Who is it from? Who's it? NBC Sports?
It's Funhouse.
Okay, I mean it might work out. We'll see. Worst comes to worst, I can probably edit it out.
Okay.
Tommy and Lynn, what do you got to say today?
What's up, boys? This is what I gotta say today. The past few years has been terrible without Brady. Belichick's record is 26-29 now without Brady. This team blows. Mac has a noodle arm. The offensive line blows. No wide receivers around them. Mike Gesicki blows. It's like Belichick's stuck in his old ways, and the game is catching up on him. And maybe it's time for him to either retire or do something. This is pathetic.
Gentlemen, I think Bill Belichick is a bigger fraud than Lance Armstrong. Without steroids, Lance Armstrong was nothing. Without cheating and Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is nothing.
I just wanted to talk about, I really don't think Belichick has ever been a good coach. All he is a good defensive coordinator. And honestly, I hope next year that he goes to another team so I can root for him to fail and watch him fail like the human garbage piece of crap that he is. I am so tired of this guy having to watch him ruin this team year in and year.
Oh, I love the misery that they're in. By the way, a lot of that sounds like Shula. That's how talk radio was in the mid-90s. Shula, the game's passed him by. It's over. The 19 first-round picks. That team was a disaster. Eric Green, this, that, everything. It was kind of like that, you know. It was a lot like that. It reminded me a lot of the Shula era at the end. You know what I'm saying? And maybe unfair for Shula now, but on this one, he's getting exposed constantly. He doesn't do anything without Brady, bro. You know, it's really amazing. So I wasn't surprised that that's the reaction. That's the reaction that guy that called that said Belichick is nothing without Tom Brady and cheating. That was freaking awesome. That was a great call. Oh man, that was freaking fantastic. So Gus 1388, thank you for that, because that was funny as hell. I see Jermaine is in there. One-Eyed Jack is in there. Steven Gonzalez, BX, Chris Solo, EJ Barro, Chef Jew, Think Dodgers Blue, DF, Eric Storm, Nyborg, Devin Jordan in Atlanta, True Fin Fan, Crypto Fins, JC Norville. If the Dolphins lose to the Panthers, I'm eating a Dairy Queen hot dog. No, don't do that. No Dolphin loss is worth that. Trust me on that one. I don't wish that on anybody except Hamas. Punchy 911 is in. Eric Storm, Brian Radke. Maybe that's what we should do. We should just feed all those idiots at Hamas, those animals, a bunch of Dairy Queen hot dogs. That'll put an end to that shit right away. DJ Ozone, Brian Radke, Alex. Thank you. Jesse Lockhart, Omar Guinier, Jermaine, Chris Solo. Let's see. Kevin Bear. Boy, all of you are on the A-chain, hurt, injured, all that stuff. So many of the comments. Green Lion, Ray Sosa. No Jalen Phillips, no Armstead, no Craycraft. Waddle missed some games. Jeff Wilson out. Connor Williams missed a game now. A-Chain's going to miss some. They have depth. They're fine. It hasn't been anything that's crippling. They can actually overcome. And yes, Greer's done a masterful job of building a deep roster. And yet you still have idiots that think that Chris Grier is not great. Okay. Robert T, Sonny Zhao, Justin. Did they play Chris Brook at tight end a little bit this past Sunday? No, it's kind of like an H-back role. Good morning, all from Boss B. Surprised there's still Patriots fans remaining since most were bandwagons to begin with. Gerardo, let's see, Sam the Man, Frankie Fresco, Chad, Jonathan Cagle. Thank you all out there, man, chiming in, a bunch of you. Thank you. Don't forget to smash the hell out of the like button, okay? The Boston accent is so annoying. But that one thing that he said with the twist of the Boston accent was the noodle arm. That was awesome. Mac Jones got the noodle arm. Oh, they're calling for his job. They should call for his job at this point. I mean, it's think about it. What Belichick is doing is incredibly irresponsible. What he did last year with Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator and all that, it just makes no sense. He got lucky with Brady, dude. That's it. It's so obvious now. He got lucky with Brady. Damn, not only are the Dolphins frauds, but Belichick too, per that guy. Cry harder. They're not wrong about him being a mediocre head coach. It's true. Look, dude, you got to be able to prove yourself without the one great player. You got to be able to show as a coach that you can. That's what I've been talking about. You got to show me that you can do it like Shula did. You got to show me like that. You got to show me what Eric Spoelstra does all the freaking time. Frankie Fresco, special AEW and NXT shows today. Wow, normally isn't it Wednesdays? Okay. Eddie Kingston. Oh, we're going to walk on through the avenue. Here we go. And Minoru Suzuki and NXT Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. All right. Well, I'm going to go with Eddie Grant Kingston because we're going to keep rocking on through Electric Avenue. All right. Minoru Suzuki, come on, bro. That guy should be riding a motorcycle, a bad car or something. Your name is Suzuki. No, you're not. No. So we're going to go with Eddie, don't call me Grant Kingston, over some motorcycle. And then on the NXT side, Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker. Well, I mean, you don't count on Carmelo on anything. You know what I'm saying? Carmelo chokes at everything pretty much. So he chokes at his Knicks. He chokes with his, Lala Anthony thing. He choked that relationship off. Do you follow Lala Anthony on Instagram? Man, that woman puts on a show. And he ruined that. So I am going to go with Braun Breaker. He is going to bust up Carmelo Hayes. Okay? And it ain't Willie Mays Hayes either. So we're going to go with Eddie, don't call me Grant Kingston, and Braun Breaker. What say you, Sean Stanley?
I got you 1 for 2. Frankie apparently has you 2 for 2. Well, I got you 1 for 2.
What's my 1?
I think Carmelo Hayes gets the victory over Braun Breaker. I agree with Eddie Kingston. And also, a programming note, we're moving our show to Wednesday because of all the wrestling tonight. We're going to cover everything tomorrow at 8 p.m. So
there you go.
We're not going to try to run against the competition of NXT and AEW. I'm not Tony Khan. I'm not doing it.
All right. So there you go. The Squared Circle Digest with Sean Stanley and Frankie Fresco tomorrow, 8 p.m. Tune in right here on the platform.
watch it and rewatch it and then rewatch it again and just let it play over and over again as much as possible. Let's see. Ramsey expected back around Thanksgiving. I'm gonna take a guess that Ramsey, just a guess. You know me. I just guess on this show. I'm just gonna say he's in the first 2 weeks of November. In the first half of November, I'm gonna say Jalen Ramsey returns. Okay. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So by November 15th is mine. Okay. That's my guess. Just a guess. That's all it is. Greetings from Ludowici, Georgia. I don't even know if I pronounced it right, but hello, Antonio. How many players can be designated from return from I believe it's 4. I believe. Don't hold my my feet to the fire on that one, but I believe it's 4, sir. David VH says, greetings from Brooklyn. Yo, Brooklyn. Brooklyn's in the house. We will be fine without a Chan for a bit. Next man up. Go Fins. That's it, baby. That's it. And Brooklyn is in the house. You know, when Brooklyn is in the house, it's you're good. There's nothing wrong with life when Brooklyn is in the house. That's the beautiful thing. Where are we at here? All right, what else do we have going on? Big O, a train might be out for a couple weeks. Need Ahmed and Wilson back. Well, hopefully everything will be fine at the running back spot. Mostert, I think Chris Brooks might get a little run here too, because you're getting Wilson back. I don't know if you put him right in the mix right away or kind of bring him in slowly, whereas Brooks is already kind of in a groove. So I would not be surprised if Brooks actually gets a little run here. Yes, you should pick up Chris Brooks so you could use him as a flex for this week. Because remember, this is a shitty game, and he could end up seeing a lot of action in the second half. So that's the good thing. That's why I think actually that makes a lot of sense if you can pick him up, as long as you have the space. Obviously, that's the important part. Gotta have el espacio, and then you can get away with it. It's all good. Anyway, what else do we have going on in the world of sports? By the way, Cameron Wolf will be joining us at 10:30. Safedine, he will stop by at 11. Manny Navarro will join us at 11:30. Anthony Chang at 12:15.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Okay. I am not a Belichick fan, but what would Bill Walsh have been without Montana, and what would Jimmy Johnson have been without Aikman? BX, Jimmy Johnson didn't want Aikman. He had to be convinced into getting him. And Bill Walsh traded for Steve Young and set it up. So he was going to, coast either way. And by the way, Montana was a 3rd-round pick that he developed too. I think Bill Walsh created the West Coast offense with Paul Brown in Cincinnati. He was the offensive coordinator. And they did not have a running game in Cincinnati. So Bill Walsh, along with Paul Brown, he gave Brown the idea that, hey, let's use a short passing game. And so, BX, if you actually don't know the history of Bill Walsh, you might want to, study it a little bit more, my brother. Bill Walsh is a a god in this league. And he was a mind that was ahead of everybody. And a lot of people have picked up on a lot of the stuff that he implemented back in the days of Cincinnati, where the West Coast offense was invented. And it was invented by Paul Brown along with Bill Walsh, who was the offensive coordinator. Bob Trumpy was the tight end. The quarterback was Jesus Christ, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals that went to the Super Bowl with Esiason and Brooks, and I'm brain farting right now, and I can hear him screaming, "We don't live in Cleveland," and all that stuff. And somebody help me out, please help me out.
Sam Weich.
Huh?
Sam Weich.
Weich. There you go. I was thinking McIntyre. Weich. There you go. Sam Weich. Sam Weich was the quarterback. So you got to kind of know a little bit more of the history, my brother, of the game. Bill Walsh is incredibly important. So it's just, you got to look at it for what it is. Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Johnson did a marvelous job in Dallas. Marvelous job in Dallas. That's where it ends, way overrated over here in Miami. But what he did in Dallas was awesome, even though he had to be convinced to take Troy Aikman because he didn't believe in Troy Aikman. So, do you think Claypool gets used like an off-the-ball tight end? Yes, I do. I think he gets to be used like Deebo Samuel. I think they'll use him in the running game. I think they'll use him in the red zone. I think they'll use him in fade patterns. Yes, I do think that's what he's got. He's the guy that you throw to when 50-50 balls are 70-30 in his case. So, yeah, he's got a skill set that nobody else has on this team. And I love the vision that they had in bringing him here, because I think it adds a dimension that this offense did not have. If the Dolphins can beat Philly with injuries, will show depth and prove they're Super Bowl contenders. Their injuries are not debilitating enough to they need to beat Philadelphia, period. They need to beat Philadelphia because they got to start winning those kind of games. If not, they'll never be a Super Bowl winner. You know what I mean? They've got to start beating these kind of teams, and that's where they've failed for 30 years. So I'm not the injuries aren't enough of an excuse at all in that game. Let's see. Andy Reid's 100 times better coach than Belichick. That's not even up for debate. He's also a better personnel director than Belichick. Big O, now all those Patriots beat writers are saying Mac Jones has no weapons. Well, whatever. Mac Jones was Tua's clipboard holder, is what he was. Roderick says, good morning, Owen Sean. Say what you will about Nick Saban, but he said it best. He wins because he has great players. No coach wins titles alone. And New England fans are just finding that out. Yeah, but the great coaches know how to turn over the talent to win again and again and again. And that's the difference. And that's what Belichick can't do. He cannot find another quarterback. He can't win again. He only won one way with one guy. And it was only one guy that allowed him to win. He has not proven that he can do it on his own without one guy. And that's a real problem for him. Joe from Seville, Spain here, bud. Can we give Brooks a try? I think they will this week. I think they will. Big O can't listen live much anymore. Different job. Wife is pregnant. I'm almost as old as you. We find out today, girl or boy. Dolphins Nation, let's hope it's a boy. There you go. Good luck, man. Health is the only thing that matters, bro. Who gives a shit in the end? Boy or girl, just health, man. That's all that matters. So may the baby be healthy. May the family be happy, my friend. That's all that matters. Let's see. Willie's in Colombia. Thank you, Willie. Nyborg is in. Nick is in. Where's Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? I don't know.
I'm from Brooklyn.
I have no idea. Don't forget about Brooks. He made some great blocks last weekend. Yes, he did. James Vivinetti, Ramsey, Wilson, Jones, Armstead. So if they put A-Chain on IR, will he be? Yes, he. They're not putting him on IR, apparently. He's just out. They haven't put him on IR. So far, there's been no talk of IR. Jim, thank you very much for the love. Says, I don't think the Dolphins running game will miss a beat. All their backs are humming with the scheme. I agree. Mostert might run for 200 on Sunday. Save them for next week. Big O, for Christmas Eve game, will you be broadcasting from your family party? I'll tell all the O's that Orlando gets served first. Damn right. To compare Belichick to Wash is amazingly stupid, in my opinion. Born and raised in the 305, adore Shula. However, Bill Walsh is the GOAT. Yeah, Bill Walsh is a ton. I had this argument with a Pats fan yesterday before Brady. Belichick couldn't win after Brady. Belichick couldn't win. Good coaches create winning cultures. Even with Shula's decline, he won a lot. Yeah, but Shula won with 3 different teams and got to the Super Bowl with 3 different teams. That's something that Belichick can't even do in his dreams. I get it. He won all the titles, but he won all the titles because he had the one guy. And the one guy went to Tampa and won the title and proved that he's not the Magic. The Magic was number 12. We have to be honest now, dude. As this thing gets, as time goes on, you prove what you are. We had a bunch of people. Oh, Eric Spoelstra can only win because of the big 3. You sound freaking stupid now, don't you? Like really stupid now, don't you? Because the stuff he's done after may not have won a title, but most coaches can't even come close to what Eric Spoelstra has done. Not even Popovich. I said it. Popovich. No shot he does what Eric Spoelstra has done the last 4 years. Zero. Okay? No shot. Not Steve Kerr. Nobody gets to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 times in 4 years and the NBA Finals twice. Eric Spoelstra proves his greatness all the time. Like all the time. And I don't see it from Belichick. So that's when you're a great coach like Larinaga, brother, you win with all the rosters. Doesn't matter. You turn it over and you win with a new group of people. You're Andy Reid, you go from one city to another, you still win. You go to Super Bowls with both. You may not have won it with Philadelphia, but you still got there. And it's not your fault that Donovan McNabb isn't the guy to get you over the top. But hell, to get to the Super Bowl and 4 NFC championship games with Donovan McNabb, brother, that's a hell of a feat. But we can't compare McNabb to Mahomes, right? It's just you got to prove yourself. And Belichick has proven that he's a fraud. Great defensive coach, but he got lucky with the ultimate eraser in Tom Brady. Nothing more, nothing less. Big O, can Miami get a comp pick for Claypool if he signs a good contract somewhere else next year? You know what? I think they can because they traded for him. I'd have to look it up. I'm not exactly sure because they did trade for him. So I think you're right. I think there's a chance. But let's be honest now. He's not getting a big contract. So you're not going to get a comp pick for him. I doubt you. He is, because of being a head case, I don't think anybody is going to give him a big deal next year. So he'd be lucky if he probably signs a 1-year deal with incentives. He's going to have to do some amazing shit here for the next 12 games. If he plays even this week, then it's 11. I don't build yourself up for that right now. You know what I'm saying? Because he has to do something so amazing and a turnaround and character and all that kind of stuff that somebody's going to say, oh, yeah, I know this guy's the difference maker. He can be a 1 or 2 for us. Let's give him big money. I don't think that's going to happen. He's kind of in a prove it stage now. 2 teams literally quit on him. He has a lot of growing up to do. And let me tell you, if he can grow up here with South Beach, that's going to be a big thing for him because he lacks all maturity. This is a huge test for Chase Claypool. If he has intelligence, he'll figure out that he's coming to the end of his road at a very young age. People have given up on him. This is his last chance, and he was gifted the best offense in the NFL. If he doesn't look at this as a giant opportunity for him to straighten out his life, none of us can help him. It's up to that young man now to just have a freaking IQ for once, because he's been a king-size dumbass. So let's be honest now. Chase Claypool may have talent, but the kid has been a first-class moron. So he has to grow up. So you're getting way ahead of yourself thinking about a compensatory pick. First of all, let's see if this guy can even stay on a roster. Let's see if he actually can be wanted by somebody for a period of time and not unwanted right away. I mean, they traded for him and then said, no thanks. And they gave up high picks for the guy. Tells you what kind of a king-size asshole the guy must be if they do that. So he is supremely gifted. It's up to him. I mean, Chase could not have been given a better opportunity to straighten out his life and his professional existence. But it's up to that young man right now to get it done. That's all. All right, it is time. Let's talk about the A-Chain injury and everything else Miami Dolphins as we unleash the Wolfpack.
We unleash the Wolfpack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
By the way, before I go to Cam there, Eric, no shot Claypool is on the practice squad, bro. They traded for him. Can you imagine if somebody then snatches him off the practice squad to give him an active roster spot after you, even though it's a pick swap? That doesn't make sense, bro. He'll be on the active roster unless he does something silly. Good morning, Cameron Wolf. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Very good. You agree, right? There's no way they put Claypool on the practice squad.
No, he's on the active roster. He's already on the active roster. So he was on the active roster from the second they traded for him. When you'd have to release them and subject them to waivers, which was the whole point of trading for him. So
yeah, exactly. It would be crazy
he'll chew up a 53-man roster spot all year.
Yeah. And somebody was asking me because somebody was already getting ahead of themselves. Hey, will we get a compensatory pick if he signs a deal? And I'm like, technically, I think you do because you traded for him, so you still own his rights. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. This is a young man that nobody's giving a multi-year deal, big deal to. He right now, his extra sketch has been completely wiped clean, and he has to rebuild everything: character, professionalism, proving to people, dude, when Mike Tomlin gives up on you,
yeah,
forget about the last team. Okay? To me, it's Mike Tomlin. That's the ugly sign, because is there a better coach in the NFL dealing with characters than Mike Tomlin, Cam?
It's a great
Is
point.
there?
I don't think so. Mike Tomlin did an incredible job. Like, think about Antonio Brown. We did not know nearly as much of Antonio's issues until after he left.
Roethlisberger, I think, was worse than all of them, than Le'Veon Bell and Antonio. I know Antonio's crazy, but I think people don't realize Ben Roethlisberger was a king-size dick, bro. Like, constantly. Like, he did stuff throughout it. He got a little better towards the end because he realized what kind of a jerk he was. But Mike Tomlin had to deal with a lot of crap between those three guys, dude. And if Mike Tomlin gave up on Chase Claypool so early, that's scary, bro.
Yeah.
That's
the reality is, I'm not sure if this. I'd say there's a chance this is Chase Claypool's last shot. I think that he's got to realize that your perception around the league follows you. And I know what Mike McDaniel said, they're giving him a fresh slate, and that is true. But because of his past experience, his leash is probably shorter. You have probably one chance to have poor effort. You have one chance to, not show up for a particular meeting or something like that, and then it snaps. And so I think that they say Chase realizes the opportunity, but this is very much a buy low opportunity for Miami. If we can get him right, we get this. If not, we move on, and that might be the end for Chase Claypool. It's not his talent, it's the other elements that keep him in. And so, yeah, I think that it's an interesting gamble. I think that, there's a couple of ties here that I wonder how much it helps Chase. He played college football with Durham Smythe. From what I understand, he also was teammates and close with Tua's cousin in college as well. And so there's a relationship there. And Anthony Campanelli knows him from the college ranks as well. And so there's some relationships here where you hope to maximize him, as well as him realizing that this is my third team in less than a year. But the reality is I would come into this situation with limited expectations and be willing to be pleasantly surprised if Chase ends up being a key contributor.
Yeah, man. And he has a dimension that would be beautiful. I think Tua is probably excited if this kid can stay on, because Tua doesn't have that element. He has to be so perfect dropping dimes. To have a high point guy would be, it's a luxury that every quarterback loves to have, because it's an easier throw for them to just be able to high point something like that. So I hope it works out. All right. The Dolphins have had, last year they were decimated. It really derailed their season. They've had their share of injuries, but the front office has done a marvelous job of something called depth.
Yes.
And depth will be tested again, because Achane is now going to be sidelined for a couple weeks, not on the IR, but sidelined, it looks like.
Yeah, bummer of news, because Achane was balling. He incredible numbers, nearly 12 yards per carry is unreal. 7 touchdowns. He's been the best rookie in football. Like, Bijan Robinson's been great. CJ Stroud's been great. But if I was putting in my rookie of the year vote, Achane would be the winner through 5 games. Now, injuries probably make it more difficult for him to get that as a whole. But you're right. They do have depth. And the reality is, let's call it what it is, the concerns with drafting an Achane weren't his ability. It was his size. Can he be able to hold up? And he's had a shoulder injury. He's had a knee injury. I think there's a reality that, hey, given his size, he may take some nicks and bruises. And because of that, it may be tough to trust him to be that 25, 30 touch guy a game ever, which is fine. But you have those other dudes. That's why you see the Dolphins have 3, 4, 5 running backs. You got Raheem Mostert, who's been healthy so far and had a good season. It's been overshadowed because Achane's been incredible, but Raheem's played pretty well too. And then you get Jeff Wilson eligible back from IR. Ahmed, he was a scratch this past week. That's how good their depth is. He's going to be able to practice and play And he brings you a lot of, not all of what Achane can do, but he can bring you some of what Achane. And then you had Chris Brooks, who actually played pretty well in his limited reps, especially as a pass blocker. I don't know if you guys went back and watched it. He laid some dudes out, and there's nothing that gets you more playing time than excelling in pass protection. And so they do have some depth, and I think they'll be fine. It does take away some of the explosiveness, but you still have Tyreek, you still have Jalen, you still have Raheem. They still have plenty of juice. Yeah,
they're loaded. They're loaded.
And so yeah, you want Achane to be fully healthy, whatever it takes, however long you got to sit him out. It's going to be at least 2 weeks, and then we'll kind of see from there. They're going to make a decision on whether or not he goes to IR or not. I don't know if he does that. We'll see. But it's a bummer. But the reality is, the Dolphins keep it pushing. They'll keep it pushing, and they'll start to get guys back in November and December. So it'll be like a welcome boost when you start to get trickle of guys back. In November, you start to get Achane back. You start to get Teron back. Eventually, maybe later on, you get Jalen Ramsey back, and now
I'm predicting early November for Jalen Ramsey.
Ooh, I think that might be a little early, but he's killing his rehab. I think you're still probably looking more closer to the Thanksgiving and on holiday season, but we'll see.
By the way, the Dolphins are so deep at running back that a team took a running back off their practice squad.
Yeah, Darrington Evans, who by the way, there was a lot of hype when they signed him because he had a really good preseason. The Dolphins just have a lot of running backs, so you can't blame the guy for wanting to go play. The Bears lose 3 running backs, and he might be the starting running back next week for the Bears. And the Dolphins, he was 6th in the lineup, and so good luck to him. But the Dolphins do have a plethora of depth at running back, which, given the longevity of that spot, it's a good place to have depth in.
By the way, I think Brooks gets some time this week. This is the kind of game, the Carolina game, especially the second half, I can see them kind of set the stage and maybe even save Ahmed for Philly next week instead, and use Brooks this week.
Yeah.
In Mostert. And maybe you bring Wilson back, and you can ease him in for a couple of days this week. I could see Brooks getting a couple of extra carries this week against the Carolina.
I think that's a great point. I definitely think this could be a lot of Brooks this week. You got Jeff Wilson coming back from injury, but remember, he hasn't played in over a month, and so you don't want the guy to get hurt or get too much in his first game back. And so even if he is back this week, I'd anticipate probably limited touches for him.
4 or 5 carries.
Absolutely. You still don't want to overload Raheem. And remember, even though Ahmed is back healthier, he was coming off an injury himself. And so you probably don't want to overload him either. So, yeah, this could definitely be a Chris Brooks week.
Yeah, I got a feeling that Brooks might end up getting an opportunity when it's all said and done. Connor Williams, everything good with him?
Yeah, he came out of the game okay. It was pretty impressive because he's not 100%. I watched him in pregame workouts, and he looked pretty good, but he's not fully back. But at the same time, you saw the difference of Connor Williams and Leon Eichenberg. And I'll tell you what, the Dolphins were very concerned going into the week about Dexter Lawrence and the impact that he could make in that game. And although he had a few, plays where he got in the backfield, he was relatively quiet. And that's a lot of credit goes to Connor Williams. And so really good game for him. He's continuing to inch towards 100%. Nobody's 100% this time of year, but he should be good to go and start this week as well.
Isaiah Wynn, good too, because he came out a little bit.
Make some bruises. I wouldn't be surprised if he's limited or missed some practice time, but I think he'll be good for Sunday.
The job of the front office. Can you talk a little bit about, because Cam, you're covering the most complete Dolphins team in decades.
Yeah.
You're covering a Dolphins team that hasn't had something called depth.
Right.
Because, last year, as you suffered, although the secondary was a little overboard on the injuries, but they did a nice job of finding a Brandon Shell and a Robert Jones last year to kind of make it, Tua wasn't running for his life last year. He did a good last year. The line wasn't great, but dude, the running backs were averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Tua wasn't running for his life, and they did a nice job of filling in. Well, this year, depth has been tested all over the place.
Mhm.
So talk a little bit about the front office and how they built the roster, the depth, and how they continue to make moves like the Claypool move recently.
Yeah, just think about this. Even beyond the Claypool move, I think some of the moves they've made to shore up the offensive line have been really impressive. Coming into the season, I was not shy in saying my biggest concern was the offensive line. They ended up bringing in Kendall Lamb, which I remember, and Kendall Lamb and Isaiah Wynn, who are both starters on the left side. I remember when Wynn and these other guys got signed, a lot of the questions were, should we have gone for Brandon Shell? Why did we cheap out, quote unquote? But the Dolphins knew what they were doing, and they ended up finding a really solid player in Isaiah Wynn, who's filled in nicely as a starter. And then Kendall Lamb, who has finally filled that swing tackle role they've been dying for. And, he's not Teron, but for him to be in the game and you not feel like you have a backup tackle in the game is a huge credit to the front office bringing in guys like that. And so I'd say the offensive line thing is what's most impressive of their acquisitions this offseason. And then just the priority of speed. Like, we joke a lot about the team, but these are all guys that Chris Grier and the front office brought in. They were aggressive to make the trade for Tyreek Hill. They made the maneuvering to get a Jalen Waddle within that draft, even before Mike McDaniel got here. They selected Achane in the third round when people had questions about his size, and they bet on Raheem Mostert when people had questions on the injury history. They really built this team with the vision of this, and it took some time, but now we have it. And so that's why I think you give them a little grace with the Claypool trade, because on paper we say, hey, he's been in a lot of issues, his work ethic question. Why would you bring somebody like that in? They know what they have in the locker room, and they know what they feel like they can maximize out of a guy. So it's been a strong year for the front office, for Chris Grier, Marvin Allen, Reggie McKenzie, Brandon Shore, all those guys. And, we'll just kind of see how the year goes.
Yeah, man, it has been, I think, the job they're doing. That's why these big games are so important coming up. The Buffalo game, and look, we're watching Buffalo now. They're suffering some big injuries, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, losing Milano and Daquan Jones, and I know Daquan hasn't been completely ruled out for the year, but
yep,
pec surgery. Come on, bro, you're not coming back. But you look at everything that's going on right now. This is why this team has to now take that next step. You have the opportunity of a lifetime. You've got the talent. The coaches have got to figure out a way to win these big games, like Philadelphia coming up in 2 weeks, man. That's you got to have that, bro. You got to start crossing that threshold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you're looking at this Dolphins team, they're going to be measured on how they play these big games. I was in the Dolphins locker room on Sunday and talking to some of the defenders, and they had a really good day. Like, we talk a lot about the offense here, right? But the defense had a good bounce back day. They had 7 sacks. But one of the guys told me, I wish it was against a better team, because, it doesn't really feel yet like we could say we're back on track. Panthers are not going to be a bigger test. They're 0-5. They've got issues of their own. This is another just you get by game. And then you have Philly. And then that's like we talk with Buffalo, that's another big checkpoint. And so you just have to be ready for your checkpoint games. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They failed their Bills checkpoint game, but they passed every other test. They passed this week in flying colors. The offense had 3 turnovers, and they still won by double digits. That has not happened very often. And so, this team is set up to be a playoff team. And now we just got to figure out how much more is their ceiling. I think the floor right now is playoffs. It's now, can they win the division?
Right.
Can
right.
They win a playoff game? Can they win multiple playoff games? That's, to me, they've already established themselves that 2 years in a row, if all, let's just say health stays relatively good, they should be a playoff team. How much further is based on how they do it in those checkpoint moments.
Exactly. And this is why at times when people would tell me like, oh, well, the measuring sticks. Okay, yeah, Philly and KC and Buffalo. And then they throw in Baltimore and Dallas. And I'm like, no. Those teams are just like Miami.
Mhm.
You know, that either they're just outside or barely making the playoffs, and then they get spanked and sent home. They haven't crossed the same threshold Miami needs to cross. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it's kind of like one of those things that we're all waiting. Like
Yep.
last year, you made the playoffs. Okay, you're happy to be there. That's not enough, dude. This kind of talent, and this kind of an offense, you got to make a bigger impact in the playoffs. And I'm glad that players are saying the things that I'm saying, that come on, man, let's go. Pick it up.
Guys, so guys are realistic, right? You know, you hear the coach speak during the week, right? Mike McDaniel had the coach speak of, hey, this is not a get right game. Don't think about that. You got right. These are things you tell to your team to make sure they show up for the game. The reality is, you know that this game is not as significant in how you view your team. You know, it's hard. It's a lot different getting excited for a win over the Chargers, a win over the Eagles, a win over the Bills, a win over these teams you have to face down the line than a Giants team that, you know, has been one of the worst teams of football. Let's just call it what it is. And so when I talk to players in the locker room, they tell me, hey, you know, it's a subdued excitement. Yes, 7 sacks is great. Yes, playing better on D is great, but this is not our challenge yet. This is not our fight, you know. And so their fight is coming, and we'll see how they do their next round. You know, these are all, I call this like these, they're real NFL games, but I'm a boxing guy. It kind of feels like these are their tune-up fights, you know, quote unquote. You know, your championship fight is coming down the line, but these are your tune-up fights. You do it to stay clean, keep your skills sharp, and your mega fight is coming in Philly in a couple weeks. And then you'll have another mega fight down the line when you had to play the Bills again. You probably count, I guess, the Cowboys. I don't know. They might be a little a medium fight, maybe not a mega fight, but a medium fight, just because that defense is really good.
And they own Baltimore now. The last 2 years, they're no longer getting. Baltimore wasn't a measuring stick in the sense of, oh, you're beating this great team. Baltimore was their bully.
Yeah,
that's what they would do every year to the Dolphins. They'd push them around,
right?
And they no longer do that anymore. And clearly, Tua is superior to Lamar Jackson. I think people are there. I think everybody's starting to understand what I've been saying about Lamar Jackson for a long time now, because
you and your Lamar Jackson hate
it's impossible to hate him. He's a great young man. But I think they're realizing that he'll never be the passer, like I've said forever, because it's happening again now. Oh, you know, new coordinator. Let's bring OBJ. Oh, we're going to open it up. And he's still the same dude, you know. So that is not a measuring stick because he's not a great passer, unfortunately. They're a bully team. They can run the ball. And if they can push you around and run the ball, then you're going to have trouble with Baltimore. But the second you stop that run, they're pretty much done. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Dak Prescott is a guy that doesn't cross the threshold ever. Unfortunately, I gave him the benefit of the doubt his first few years. I think he's proven over and over again that he's just not a big moment quarterback. He just hasn't been. And to me, that's the problem with both of those teams. They don't have the quarterback for whatever reason. Dak's a better passer, but he doesn't have the heart. Lamar is just not a good passer. So for me, these two teams, they're not the measuring stick. Buffalo is the freaking measuring stick. Kansas City, Philadelphia, those are the teams I need to see the Dolphins beat so I can feel good about the playoffs.
So you mentioned a good point of Baltimore in the past, and obviously they beat Baltimore, but the Buffaloes feels like that team now. That you have to get past them. And I know it's annoying for Dolphins fans because they're the division rival and, you know, you want to be better than them. They're the bullies right now. And the one question I have about the Dolphins, really two, and it's the same elk, but they're this fast team. They're the exciting team. But what happens when you have a physical team that has enough talent to punch and square up with you and they hit you in the mouth? How do you respond? Is this team tough enough? I'm not saying they're not, but it's a question. Because we saw in Buffalo a team that essentially punched them in their mouth, beat them in the trenches. The offense and defensive lines won that battle, and they played in a hostile environment where the crowd was really loud. They say it disrupted their communication. And so these are things that if your offense and your team cannot handle those elements, which are playoff elements, which are physical teams. Not saying they can't, but that was their test. They're going to have another test in Philly in an area that's going to be mega loud. It's going to be a Sunday night game. They're a team with an amazing offensive line, an amazing defensive line. The two things that Buffalo beats you at, that's going to be a challenge. A few weeks later, they'll play Kansas City. It won't just be in Germany, so it won't be a home game, but it's another team that has a really good offensive line, a solid defensive line, particularly with Chris Jones inside. These are the type of teams that you have to get past to get to the mega games. And so I don't, they're 4-1. There's a lot to be excited about, but we still have some checkpoints, and I'm eager to see how they do.
Yeah, I can't wait. All right, what do you got going on in the NFL Network so folks can check you out, my friends?
Yeah, I'll do some coverage at some point. I don't have my schedule yet, but I'll do some coverage at some point this week on the Dolphins, NFL Network, and decent chance I'll be at the game on Sunday as well. So we'll see. This should be another comfortable Dolphins win if all goes well, and then we set up for Philly week.
Can't wait for Philly week, man. Can't wait. All right, follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf. And, of course, catch his work there at the NFL Network and twice a week doing his thing here. Cam, as always, are you home for Carolina this week or are you on the road?
I should be home. I won't be on the road. We have an NFL Network game in London, and so I will the last 2 weeks, this week and last week. So I will definitely be home, either at my home couch or at the stadium, one of the two.
Oh. All right, Cam, appreciate you. We'll talk later in the week.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. That is Cameron Wolf. And don't forget, call our friends at KSDT CPAs, tax, assurance, you name it, advisory. They do it all for you, folks. This is why I've been telling you about KSDT CPA now, going on 2 years. They do an amazing job for your home, your personal taxes, your business taxes. They do our taxes. They do Cam's taxes. They do my business taxes also. They can do the same thing for you. And listen, I'm a small business, but those of you out there that have way bigger businesses than I do, you can use KSDT. They can help you in planning. They can help you in payroll. They can help you in so many different ways to help your business grow. Even if you're thinking of selling your business, they can also help you figure out how much your business is worth. 305-670-3370. Offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. And we've got a new office in North Carolina, in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they're hiring in Charlotte, North Carolina, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. So please reach out to them, 305-670-3370.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
Right. Yeah, Baltimore was a pain in the ass for us. We could never get past them. Still have trauma from that. Yeah, well, those days are done. You got a quarterback now. They don't. That's what happens. So you didn't have a quarterback before, and then you got pushed around, and then they took a lead, and that's it. It was over. Now you have a passer. They don't have a passer. So now you can score points, and their passer can't keep up. So as long as you don't get dominated on the line, you're going to be fine with Baltimore. That's all. Baltimore's no longer a threat to Miami like they used to be when they didn't have a quarterback, because then you were going to have to be as tough and run the ball better. And that was a dilemma that Miami wasn't in. But now that you have actually a passer, that's actually the difference there. But that's all right. People are finally, some are starting to turn the corner, on Lamar Jackson, and eventually they'll all figure it out, and they'll figure out what I knew from day one, that he was never going to be a passer. So if Miami goes into Philly and knocks off the undefeated NFC champions, we should be ready for a Super Bowl run. No, not yet. Got to have another one of those wins. Can't be just one, Eric. Need another one. You got to prove that it isn't fluky. You need to take 2 of 3 from Kansas City, Philadelphia, and Buffalo. You already lost the first Buffalo. You got to win the second one, or you got to beat Kansas City, or you got to beat Philadelphia. You need to win 2 of the 3. If you only win 1 of the 4 most important games of the season, it's kind of flukish. It doesn't really prove it. If you go 2-2, then, now you're like, okay, anything goes. You know what I mean? I'm not going to feel as confident if you only win 1 out of the 4. Just not. If you win 2 out of 2, 2 out of 4, and you're 2-2, then and if you go 3-1, what can I tell you? You know what I'm saying? So that's that's how I'm going to measure it. You can't only win. You can't sneak out with just 1, because any team can do that. Any team can beat the worst team in the NFL can beat the best team in the NFL in 1 week. Anything can go your way. The ball bounces, you get a lucky break, whatever, and you win. That day, the quarterback comes in cold and makes a bunch of mistakes, and you win. You know what I'm saying? And that's football. That can happen in any given Sunday, as the cliche goes. I need you to start. See, the thing is, some of you out there, you didn't grow up with a real football team. So since you haven't had a real football team, you don't know what it feels like. Real football teams don't flukishly win just 1 game. Real football teams can beat great teams constantly. And that's where the Dolphins have got to get to. They've got to get to the point that when you're playing Kansas City and Philadelphia and Buffalo, you're going in with a ton of confidence. That's when we get to that point, we know the Dolphins have arrived. That's because you've watched them win those kind of games often. So you're either 500 or better in those kind of matchups. That's when you've arrived. But a flukish win, anybody can have those. Even the Raiders can have those. By the way, how about Mark Davis? Did you guys see that yesterday? Mark Davis, look at that. Who says you can't have a bowl cut and have a hottie? See, if you own an NFL football team, anyone can get laid. Our number 2 is next. Safedine up on deck.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Miles an hour, that's a Category 4 hurricane. 3 deaths are reported in Florida after more than 24 were killed in the Caribbean. This
following statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Let's get the latest from the Aqua and Orange with our Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Dolphins report with USA Today insider Safid Dean. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net. Here's Safid Dean.
There he is, locked and loaded and ready to go. How you feeling? Is your knee feeling better than a chance?
I hope so. Which is really, really sad. Really disappointing news. Obviously, if you're a Dolphins fan, because everything is going so great, right? The Dolphins are 4-1. They're back on top of the AFC East. They seem like they found a player in A-Chain. I don't know if you guys remember my tweet from like OTAs or something like that, where I said 28 is going to be a player. We've seen him been a player already this season. I'm really concerned about this knee injury, Big O, and with news today, that he could be a candidate for IR and potentially miss 4 games. It's not good, Big O. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's not good.
What's the limit on IR?
What was that?
The limit on IR for return, is it 4 people?
4 games. 4 games is the minimum.
No. How many players can you do that with?
I think I don't know the limit on that, to be honest with you. And I know this 4-game IR thing has kind of been something that happened after or during the COVID season, whereas they were trying to move guys in and out of the roster and make the roster a lot more flexible during the season. But this is actually a good stipulation in for some players who won't miss a lot of time, but will miss some time. I think that's probably the positive part of this, is that the Dolphins expect them to come back this year. It's a good thing that we didn't hear anything about, ACL, MCL, anything like that, which I think could come out real soon. But, just the fact that they know already after Monday that this is going to be a couple-week thing, and hopefully he can come back soon. Need some rest to get proper. At the end of the day, that is positive for Miami, but in the immediate right now, not so much.
Yeah, and the depth is also positive too. So that's actually a good thing. Sean, you got some news for us?
No, it looks like NFL teams can designate up to 8 players to return from IR during the season.
There you go.
An individual player can be designated twice.
Okay. Does that count against the 8? I would imagine.
I don't know, but they made that rule for Armstead, probably.
Yeah, it does. It says they can go twice. They can pull them off IR twice, which would be 8 games total.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So 8 players. So the Dolphins aren't at any risk right now because they're doing it with Armstead. They're doing it with Ramsey. They did it with Jones and Needham, right? No, those were pup guys.
Those are pup guys. I think Ramsey might have been a pup guy. Too.
Okay, so IR is only 2 guys then?
IR, Armstead, Craycraft, Craycraft, because Azukama's on the non-injury list, which is different.
So Craycraft and Armstead are the only ones that are on the pup return deal?
Should be with A-Chain, yeah. That should be it.
Yeah.
Unless there's anybody else. Look, Big O, the Dolphins being 4-1 with only 2 games of Armstead and 0 games of Jalen Ramsey is, obviously really phenomenal. You tell anybody that at the beginning of the season, hey, we're going to give you 4-1. You lose to the Bills, but you'll be top of the AFC East after 5 weeks without 2-star players. Okay, great. I think what we've seen in the last 2 games specifically is that even though the Dolphins had enough week 1 and week 2, A-Chain came out of nowhere week 3, right? And within 2 weeks, he's the second leading rusher in the NFL with 460 yards. Only Christian McCaffrey has more. Devin A-Chain has 460 yards on 38 carries. McCaffrey has 99 carries. Think about that, right? A-Chain has 5 touchdowns this season. Raheem Mostert has 7 touchdowns this season. It feels like we forgot about Mostert, and he was really carrying the load the first part of the season. And he also ate really well in that Broncos game. But I was always looking for the players to step up with these guys out, right? Obviously, Andrew Van Ginkel is one of those players. You're looking for guys to step up and give you good play that amounts to wins, Devin A. Chain was one of those people.
Kendall Lamb.
Kendall Lamb, sure, especially. Devin A. Chain was one of those players. And so Panthers this week, sure. Obviously you would love to have him for the Eagles and the Chiefs game. I think he'll be out for both of those, speaking of A. Chain specifically. You're hoping you can get Jeff Wilson back to what he was, which is he's a little bit of a bruiser. He's not a finesse runner like A. Chain is. But that's what you're hoping Mostert can give you as well, as we've seen from him. And Chris Brooks has been playing well, man. Chris Brooks has been playing well in mop-up duty. The thing that I don't like about this is, I think the Dolphins need to go sign a guy. And when you look at the prospects of that, everybody that, Jonathan Taylor has been re-signed, Dalvin Cook has gone to the Jets. I don't think the Dolphins need to do anything like that because there's nobody really like that available anymore.
They just lost a running back. They just stole the running back off their practice squad.
Yeah, the Dolphins lost one to the Bears.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Bears they had a ton of injuries. They just stole the running. That's how deep the Dolphins are, that they're even taking their practice squad running backs. So that it shows you how good this front office is.
Yeah, I think they need to go find another one though.
All 5 of their running backs can play in an NFL game and contribute, and that they even had a guy that they stashed in the practice squad, and the Bears needed a running back, and they went and got the Dolphins running back. So, this running back for the Dolphins was in demand. That's pretty good.
It's good to stash some guys, and I think the Dolphins still need to go and replace that guy because you don't know what can happen at any given time, of course. And look, the A-Chain injury is not great because the kid was doing so well, right? And you already knew the Dolphins already knew what they kind of had in him, right? It's so great to see that the Dolphins saw that they had a player and they put him in the game, whereas some coaches don't see that they have this talent and we're not using him. But this is disappointing for Miami in the short term, and you're really hoping that he can get healthy 100% and make an impact later this season. Like I said with Armstead, like I said with Ramsey, I need these guys December, January, and February. If that's where I'm getting that kid, I'll sign him for that too.
Let me ask you something. I've been talking about this the last couple of days now. If you can, I'd practice Chase Claypool, but I would not use him at all this week. I would not, because I'm sure he's not going to learn the playbook, but I'm sure they'll give him packages to be a part of, piecemeal, that kind of stuff. Because it'll be hard for him to know the whole playbook by the end of the year. But you can bring him along slowly, piecemeal, and give him packages. But I would actually save him for next week for the Philadelphia game. Why put him on display in a game you really don't need? Just like Achane, it sucks that he's out, but that should not even be an issue this week against Carolina. I say just for, craps and giggles, just to have a little bit of an advantage, I would not showcase Claypool at all this week. I just practice him, get him comfortable, and practice him again next week, and then unveil whatever little packages you can put him in against the Eagles to create at least some element of surprise with the offense. Your thoughts on that?
I understand where you're coming from, and logically it makes a lot of sense. And obviously you would want to go into the Eagles game with them not seeing something and you unleashing something on them, right? That would be ideal, sure. But I think the reps are invaluable, right? And if Chase Claypool is going to come in and run some Deebo Samuel play that we saw the Dolphins were trying to do with Ezukama this year, it'd be great to have the reps to have it, right? It'd be great to see that play actually score, and it would be great to have the Eagles kind of worry about it going in. I mean, sure, you probably give it up to them and put it on film, but the kid has to be able to score it. He has to be able to do it, and there would be nothing worse than on Sunday Night Football, Chase Claypool has the ball in his hands, and he messes up, and we're all questioning him again. We're all questioning Mike McDaniel for what the hell he's doing, and a play that messes up because they have no reps running it, right?
Yeah, but wait a minute.
That's a bad negative.
Hold on, but in his defense, you're not talking about a rookie that has no experience in the NFL. You're talking about a proven NFL player.
He's not proven. He's not proven.
He's not proven.
The body is proven. The physical attributes and all that are proven. He's made some plays, but the kid needs all the reps he can get. The kid needs all the reps he's going to get.
No, but he can play the game. His problem is maturity. So my point is, we're not talking about a guy that's green and has never done anything in the NFL. This is a guy that actually he put together one hell of a rookie season 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So this is a guy that can play this game. So that's why it's not like a surprise that you don't even know what you're getting from him. If you see him well for the next week or two, he should have the same kind of confidence going into the game, because it's not like you're playing somebody completely green like Ezukanma.
I think there's while I understand that, Chase Claypool still needs some work. He hasn't played much this season, right? And he needs some physical confidence on the field that he can carry with him. I think that might be a little bit too much to ask Chase Claypool to go score a touchdown in Philly when he hasn't touched the field much, or you keep him completely out against Carolina, right? I think there's going to be some packages in here this week where there might be a jump ball pass for him, in the end zone or something like that. They try to get him in the run blocking game to see what you can get from him in that standpoint, because the Dolphins need to run the ball, not only this week, but against the Eagles
next week
and against the Chiefs too. Yeah. And so I would be a little bit against your premise. It sounds great in theory, sure, but I want to get that kid on the field, and I want to get him some opportunities for him to build some confidence in himself, because so he can see that the offense will work and his play will work, and he remains completely engaged in the whole process, whereas we knew that was not a real benefit for him in previous stops.
You think I know the measuring stick again is going to be those big games, but the defense did play really well this past week. Does you think this is something they can build on and do it again this week going into Philadelphia, so they can, come up with those kind of performances against those kind of teams?
Yeah, look, the Dolphins are going to get ran on by the Eagles in 2 weeks, right? They're going to get ran over. They're going to get pushed all over the field.
How do you say that?
They're going to get pushed at the line, right? Christian Wilkins is going to be nowhere to be found, although he was in the backfield a little bit last week. Bradley Chubb even came out this week and said, I need to play better, which was great to hear. Is this a get-right game for the Dolphins again against the Panthers? Sure. Panthers don't offer, really scare you or anything like that. It's something to build on, sure, but you got to be able to stop the run when you play Philly, right? And you got to be able to stop that little tush-push play, which nobody's been able to stop.
No.
I'm not worried about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the sense that, like, the Eagles are going to just toss it up to them. The Eagles are going to run the ball and throw it to them, when they need to. But this is a big, month for the Dolphins, because they need to figure it out. It feels like they figured it out a little bit against the Giants, but they have to continue to trend upward. And if we saw anything against the Chargers or against the Bills, the Dolphins are not going to do well this season. So it is an opportunity for them to get right.
Jalen
Phillips,
they're
nowhere near ready for Philly.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I'm hoping that they can get to that point. Jalen Phillips, dude, is he returning this week? What's? I know it's a little unfair to ask you about injuries, because they kind of
he practiced a little bit.
What do you know?
He practiced a little bit last week, but he didn't play. Right, he didn't play in this game. Do you get him back on the field? Yeah, sure. You can probably give him some reps if he's ready to go, but I want that guy ready for the Philly game too, right?
Yeah.
He's going to wreak some havoc. If I have him at 100, more than 100% for the Philly game, by all means, sign me up. I can definitely see him getting some work in this Panthers game if he's healthy enough. Hopefully that oblique injury is, doing better. But, he needs that. He needs that oblique, because it's, he's such a weird muscle of the position of the body. He's turning, he's twisting, he's doing so many things. You need Jalen Phillips to be an impact player. And so getting him 100% healthy is obviously very important.
So your thoughts on Brian Flores' quarterback, Jordan Love, last night?
Brian Flores' quarterback, Jordan Love? Man, you're going back in time for me, huh?
That was his guy. That's who he wanted in the war room. But he wanted Jordan Love. It's just one of those things. And so, he was Mr. Personnel guy also. And his Minnesota Vikings defense is really doing a great job this year. So I'm just wondering
Are they?
No, they're
Are
not.
1-4?
No, they're not actually. They're giving up crap to the yard.
Oh, we
Lit up. No,
we've-
but I'm just wondering because that's who he wanted. He wanted Jordan Love. So what you? I mean, it's funny because as a Dolphins fan, you're spoiled watching 500 yards every week, and then I'm watching this shit
right?
last night from both sides.
Yeah, right.
One, and I'm like, wow, dude, man, I got to be grateful that I'm watching my Dolphins compared to this.
Well, I love that we got to the bashing Brian Flores portion of the segment. That's always great. I think the Dolphins really struck gold with Mike McDaniel here, man. Like the offense works. The guy, he's loved by the players, and he definitely has their respect. We'll see how the players feel about that truly. But man, you'd be surprised at how many coaches in the NFL, how many coordinators in the NFL are just another guy, man. Like we talk about football players being just another guy. There's a lot of coaches in this league that are just another guy. I think Josh McDaniels is one of them. I think Kevin O'Connell might be with the Vikings. I think Brian Flores is a great defensive coordinator. I wouldn't want him around a rookie quarterback again. And we'll see if he has.
How about not around personnel? Just your coach. Go do your job. His problem was he wanted to do everybody's job.
Yeah, he wants to poke the bear a little bit too. And
the guy he came from, I think he got that shit from the guy he came from.
Yeah, all those coaches that came from there need to stop that, bro. Like all the coaches from New England suck on their own, right? Josh McDaniel sucks on his own. Brian Flores did well here. He's probably the only one that did well from the Patriot coaching tree, right? Look at Josh Boyer. Look at Chad O'Shea. Look at all these other guys. Bill O'Brien had to go back to Houston. Yeah, Bill O'Brien had to go back to New England. Joe Judge soiled himself in New York. All those coaches only do good because of Belichick, right? We need to give Belichick a little bit more credit because, him and Brady did well. But all those other coaches are just other guys, man.
Romeo Crennel is a fantastic defensive coordinator.
Yes.
One of the best human beings you will ever meet.
Some coaches make it on their own pedigree, man. Other guys.
But he's like Wade Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Defense
only.
Yeah, he was just a coordinator. That's all,
Yeah.
But Romeo Crennel
is okay.
Romeo Crennel's a hell of a coach, dude. It's just he wasn't a head coach. It's just that's all.
And that's okay. That's okay when you identified it, right? It is completely okay. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that. There's also no shame for, Urban Meyer being a great college coach and being terrible in the NFL. There's no shame in that. It's different motivation for everybody.
Right.
Jordan Love did all right last night. The pick, I didn't like the pick. You can obviously see Matt LaFleur just completely frustrated on the sideline, right? His body language is just terrible for that team. And he's like chewing out the tight end, and the tight end can't even get back in the game. And then when the tight end gets back in the game, he messes up again because he has no reps because he sat the whole time. Look, the Packers, I discovered they're like one of the youngest groups in the NFL.
Yeah.
Those he has first and second year receivers. Jordan Love is a first year starter, although he's been there a couple years already. Packers will take some time. Josh McDaniels, man, fraud. I just don't like that guy at all, man. 4th and 1, and you try to there was a 4th and 1 in that fourth quarter, right? They didn't even go for it to kick the field goal, and Packers had a chance to probably tie that game. Do I have that right? I missed that one play. I was leaving from where I was watching the game.
When I see these coaches, I wonder if they're people. They're people persons or person, whatever I mean. You know what I mean by that? Because McDaniel is a people person.
Yes.
And I think that if you're not, bro, the way I grew up and the old style and ripping into people and all that
doesn't work anymore.
Water off a duck's back kind of thing. That's how we all grew up. Teachers screamed at you, your parents screamed at you, your coach screamed at you, and you just moved on. You can't. That's just in this ultra sensitive world. You just can't do it anymore, dude. It just doesn't.
At the same time, too, as a society, we learn like you don't really have to yell at everybody. You don't have to treat people like crap to get the best out of them, right? You can still encourage them and do that too. But yeah, look, what a Monday Night Football game. It wasn't that great, but you still ended up watching it. I would like to see Bradley Chubb running all over the field like Max Crosby and TJ Watt are. That's what I would like to see. Instead, we have Anthony Van Ginkel doing really great.
They're
What was
wired differently. They're wired differently.
Yeah, I mean, Bradley Chubb has that one play. He had a forced fumble against the Patriots. I mean, I was like, all right, cool. That was a good play. We talked about that after that game, but you want to see more from him. He acknowledges that as well.
But those two guys play like they're wired like maniacs.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson is another maniac too. That guy might win Defensive Player of the Year right now.
Right.
He's playing out of his mind.
Donald's wired like a maniac. Jason Taylor, him and his little GQ looks and pretty boy and all that shit.
Animal on the field.
When he lined up, he was a
Animal.
mother effer, bro. He wanted to get to you. And I don't know, bro. Bradley Chubb looks like such a nice guy. I'm not sure. I just don't sense nastiness from the guy. I haven't sensed.
I've seen it before. So I shared this story with Bradley Chubb in the locker room, which is great. I used to cover Florida State football for the Tallahassee Democrat and Orlando Sentinel. This is right after they won the title in 14. So from 15 to 18, I was in covering FSU, and NC State beat FSU in Tallahassee, and Bradley Chubb, spit on the field, spit right on the logo. I tell him this great story because I'm interviewing Josh Sweat after the game, and I'm like, Josh, this guy spit on the field. Like, what does that mean? What are you going to do? And Josh Sweat is just like, what am I going to do? Go up to him and be like, hey, man, don't spit on my field. And me and Josh Sweat had a great laugh about that. Bradley Chubb, I had a great laugh about that with him as well. So he's got a little fire in him when he's inspired, man. And I just want to see some more fire. We got to see some more of that.
2 weeks from now, can he spit on the eagle in the middle of the field?
Yeah, that'd be great, right? That would be amazing. But we'll see, man. I think Bradley Chubb, I think, the jury's out on that trade, man. It might be out on that trade. The Dolphins, it was a good move, but he's got to produce.
Deliberated already, and it's a guilty one right now.
I don't want to give it that much.
Further notice, my problem is like when I watch Andrew Van Ginkel play with his hair on fire, and it literally looks like his hair on fire because his hair is the color of fire at times. So, but I don't see Bradley Chubb play like that. And so that's when I'm watching a werewolf and then I'm watching, I don't know what that is. And so that's my problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, Zach Sealer and Andrew Van Ginkel probably been the two best D linemen, right? This year?
Yeah.
And if you're Christian Wilkins trying to get paid and Bradley Chubb, who's already got paid, and Emmanuel Ogbah looking for some kind of role in this defense, and Raekwon Davis, if you're Raekwon Davis, right, trying to figure out your next contract situation and what you're going to do, you're looking at those two guys and like, all right, I need to step mine up. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that message is delivered to the rest of the D-line. But they've left plenty to be desired, I feel. And the defense as a whole has too. Jerome Baker showed up a lot more in the film, from the game last week. There's some plays, man, towards the sideline where you don't even see anybody. You see some defenders and Jerome Baker just flying into the screen to make sure that player is getting out of bounds. More of that from Jerome Baker, yes. Xavier had a good game last week, had a good pick. I expect him to be on Adam Thielen in this game and should be quite easy for the defense. But hopefully you can find something out of Cam Smith. Hopefully Eli Apple doesn't, be a weak point for you defensively. Kohu had a good play last week. He has to continue to rise. Javon Holland is obviously the leader in the back end right there. Brandon Jones has another week. So defense is looking up. They need to continue to trend upward. But they got to be able to stop the run against Philly, man. Philly's going to run all over them.
All right, Safford, I know I got to go to Manny here. He is next here. But somebody wants me to ask you, because it's been a little bit of a subject. Does Belichick win a single Super Bowl without Brady?
No, of course not. It's over. It's over. It's over. They won enough Super Bowls. You don't need to win anymore, okay? Belichick doesn't get, and also I want to say this: Belichick don't give a damn. Belichick don't give a damn what you and I gotta say, what anybody else gotta say. He already got all these rings that he's gonna go home to and just wipe off the dust with his.
I disagree with you. I think this is eating him alive.
I don't think so.
He can't, and everybody knows he can't win without Brady. Oh, bro, and Brady won his Super Bowl without him. I disagree with you, Safford. I think deep down inside, this is hurting his ego, bro.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. That's these dudes are prideful mofos, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of pride in the Super Bowl he wins. I don't think that has any pride.
Oh no. I think it bothers him that people are calling him fraudulent now that it's without.
No. I think we are talking about it way more than Bill Belichick even cares.
No.
Yeah.
Disagree on that one.
I think Belichick doesn't like the fact that like he's in post-game press conference, like, well, we got to start over. What does it mean? Oh, we got to start over. He doesn't care. I don't think he cares. He's won already, man. He's won.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. All right, follow him on Twitter at Safid_Dean. Catches exceptional work at USA Today and the podcast, right? Tell him about the podcast.
It's a football podcast. Got a new episode releasing this afternoon. So check us out. Me and my colleague Tyler Dragon. He's not a Tua fan, so you guys got to hear what he says and hear how I defend Tua on my podcast, right? But check me out at USA Today as well. Have a great Travis Kelce story from last week that I wrote visiting his hometown. I went to Travis Kelce's hometown, asked people about Taylor Swift and their relationship, and they care more about Travis Kelce. So check it out on USA Today. Appreciate you guys as always. Thanks, Big O.
There you go. And the Swifties want no more artificial turf. They're on it now, too. Safid_Dean on Twitter. Safid, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
Have a good one, Big O.
Baptist Health is the official sports medicine provider for the Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, FIU, FAU, Orange Bowl, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and Miami Open Tennis and Miami Marathon. Folks, you don't need to be a professional athlete to go where the pros go. The doctors at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care can see you now. Visit baptisthealth.net/ortho to request an appointment and get yourself back in the game.
The Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Dolphins report with insider Safid Dean is brought to you by Baptist Health of South Florida. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at baptisthealth.net.
You know, when I got married, there was a portion in the marriage where I had to actually kneel down, and we had to listen to the father, mumble on for like 20 minutes. And my wife and I are kneeling down on this thing there, and we're looking up. And dude, she had this sheet, and it had like pearls, and my knees were on those stinking pearls for like 30 minutes. That was brutal. That is something that Mario Cristobal would have never done. Manny Navarro is next.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. If you're a Miami sports fan, there's only one store to go to, and that's Canes Wear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Canes Wear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All right. Just see some guy, Basketball Jones says, Flores did well here, Big O. How the F you letting that slide? He tried to destroy Tua, you idiot. What the hell is that? That's not good. The only quarterback you've had since Marino. What is wrong with you? How is that good? He wanted Jordan Love. Did you watch him last night? Anyway, how you doing, bro? You know, I was just talking about this. When I got married over at St. Kevin's on Bird Road and 127th, there was a moment where, we had to kneel down in front of the father, and he went on for like a half hour. And there was this sheet that some crap that was around my wife or whatever, and it was placed on the thing where we were kneeling, but it had freaking pearls on it. So my knees were on pearls for like a half hour. Bro, that was a pain in the ass. I told my wife I was about to get up off this shit. This is something Mario Cristobal would have never done. Never. Kneeling. Come on. He's not. Does he kneel when he goes to church? Ever? Oh, wait a minute. No.
There we go. Now you can hear me, right?
Now I can hear you.
All right. What I was gonna say, this is bravado over brains. That's more just total, machismo. Let's run the clock out. Let's not take a knee. Look, devastating, hard lesson to learn. Cost them an important win. But I will say this to all the Miami fans who have lost their minds. Believe it or not, even with that boneheaded move, everything is still in front of them, and every opportunity to win and get their way into the ACC championship game is still there, because every undefeated team that's left in the ACC is on their schedule. So there's a chance of redemption here. Oh, will they get it? I don't know, but the point is, it's there still for them. There's still something to play for.
Yeah, but making those kind of decisions, and you've got the entire season last year under your belt. He is developing a bad track record right now, unfortunately. And that to me is the real problem right now for Mario Cristobal, is that he is showing us worse coaching moments than good coaching moments. And that is not good for him. And it's when you lose that game this past week, it's hard to imagine that you're actually going to just run the table and beat everybody else that's on your schedule. I have a hard time believing that. And that's where this whole thing kind of falls apart for me on because Mario now is back to square one with me as a coach. As a coach, he has to prove to me that he can be that guy on game day. He hasn't won anything. He didn't win anything major at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? And the Pac-12 is not anything impressive. So, it's one of those things. We'll bring Manny back. And Manny, it's great to have everybody that's left on your schedule that's undefeated. But because of the decisions you've made in the last year and this past week, I have more negative coaching moments on you than positive coaching moments. And so how can I expect you to do something you've never done anyways as a coach? So I don't expect you to run the table. And in a way, the sad part for me, as much as I'm a Mario guy, I have to be honest. I'm back to square one with him now as an X's and O's guy. I have to really see you outcoach people consistently for me to start believing that you're a good game day coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the knock on him all the way through. I mean, look, he had an impressive win on the road at Ohio State, at Oregon. He obviously won the Pac-12 Conference 1, so he's accomplished things in his past. He won at FIU, which few people have obviously been able to do. But the game management thing is something that's plagued him his entire career, and it's something he's going to have to overcome. No question about it.
Yeah, and I'll give him credit here finally, because too much of the shit that night on Saturday was, we took the ball, what did you tell Don? I told him, hey, man, we should have run the ball and all that. Yeah, we lost Manny again. Oh, man, this one's been an interesting one because I can't answer it because then I got to repeat it again when he comes back. So I'll say it when he comes back. He did well destroying Tua, right? That's did this guy answer at all? No, he didn't, right? Of course not. Flores did well. Give me a break, bro. Flores is a cancer for this team. I think what people don't get about the Flores era, it's the front office that gave him the players, and even in the first year to be able to win a few games. And all they've done is build that roster up that it's up to the coach to be a better coach, X's and O's. And the year they didn't make the playoffs, they should have made the playoffs, but that 7-game losing streak. So that's the problem with some of you out there. I think you look at this Flo thing a little wrong. All right, he's back.
Yeah, I'm going to get Manny on real quick, but I think he's referring to Safid said that Flores did well here, and you let it slide. I don't think you heard what Safid had said. He said, record-wise, he did well here, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. There's no way I would let that slide ever. Not with Flo. Never. Ever.
Sorry about that, man.
No, it's cool. It's cool, dude. It's just, so for me, well, I'll give him credit on this because I was really pissed with Mario on this also. It was, no, he even told Joe, well, we should have run the ball. We should have run the ball and all that stuff. And then on Saturday night, on the whole Don Chaney thing, and we talked about 2 hands on the ball and we should have run the ball, all that. What I wanted him to do was completely lay on the sword.
Right.
And just absolve everyone. Hey, this has nothing to do with the offensive coordinator. This has nothing to do with Don Chaney. This is all on me. I'm the one that wanted to run the ball. I made the mistake. It's not on Don Chaney. Don Chaney didn't have to fumble the ball because it was a bad decision on my part. And, when I see McDaniel, who is willing to take blame and say, I screwed up, it's like Mario is too prideful at times to admit to people publicly that he screwed up. And then it seemed like somebody must have reached him or he must have heard the criticism or something. But then the tune started changing by Sunday and Monday, where he started to lay more on the sword instead. And I also found that to be a little disturbing because, brother, that's what you were supposed to do from the get-go. That's what leaders do. You're supposed to take the damn bullet right from the get-go, and you didn't. And, his standoffishness, too, with Joe Rose in the interview and trying to be short. And it's like, yo, bro, you effed up. Now, take it like a man and answer these questions and handle it, dude. You know what I mean? And you're going to hold people accountable at times when they screw up under you, right? Well, guess what? Be a man here and deal with you being held accountable for something incredibly stupid.
Well, I think, again, this goes back to Mario's ego, goes back to his bravado, being an offensive lineman, being a guy who, you talk to Mario and he looks at you and says, hey, bro, it's kind of that, right. He's a man's man, right? And those type of guys, those alpha males, usually are not going to turn around and point the finger at themselves right away because they always see it through, well, no, if everybody does their job, this is the way things should have gone. And the reality is he knows he screwed up. And I think he had to be coached into speaking the way that he finally decided to speak on Monday afternoon at his press conference. I think there's no question somebody had to come to him and say, Mario, you got to really fall on the sword now because this ultimately falls on you. But I think at the get-go, from the moment that game ended, while he understood that he blew it, I don't think he really believed that it was his fault they lost that game.
Yeah.
And so it just played out that way. It became, an issue where he had to be talked into it. And look, some coaches are like that. I mean, I'm sure Nick Saban is the same way. I'm sure some of these other coaches with huge egos are the same way. They don't believe that the reason they lost is ever their fault. If people would just execute, right? If they would just do their job as they were told, we would have won the game. This clearly is one of those instances where, as the head coach, Mario had to step in and he didn't do it. And, and it seemed to me, the more and more I watched it over 3 times. Which is not fun having to watch that game 3 times, at least the last minute and a half. If you watch the sideline and you watch what's going on, there is not even a thought about taking a knee. It's not even, I mean, I know that people have posted video of Alex Mirabal coming up and saying something and looking like he might have mouthed, hey, let's take a knee.
And Lee, the center.
Yeah, like
What are we doing? What are we doing?
right. But I'm saying the people in charge, right? I'm talking about Shannon Dawson. He did not. Shannon Dawson was like, no, I'm running my offense, dude. Like, we're running the football here. There was no like, oh, wait a minute, we're making a mistake. There was no regret until the result. And once the result happened, that's when they said, oh shit, we should have done something.
Yeah. It's a shame, dude. And it's something that's a real setback for him. What are you hearing from administrators? Because they got to go like, wow, we gave this guy the keys to the kingdom and this is what he's doing. So I'm just wondering, how are they thinking? I'm sure publicly they go, oh, we're all behind Mario, but I'm wondering behind the scenes, are they a little nervous about all of this right now?
Well, I think it's certainly one of those tough to stomach losses because, look, these people have to turn around and ask for more money, right? Hey, support the cause. We have the right guy for the job. These kind of moments make that job a lot harder, right? But the reality is a lot of the people who have poured money into the University of Miami in the last year and a half have only done it because it's Mario. They weren't necessarily always as giving before when it was Manny Diaz or it was Mark Richt or it was somebody else. So I think a lot of the people who've come out of the woodwork and done the funding and the supporting of the program are there because of Mario. So for them, they were kind of in it because of him. But certainly I think a lot of the administrators are like, man, this is not what we want to see. We don't want to lose games. We don't want to lose our fan base. We don't want to lose, people believing in you anytime you have something like this occur. So again, I brought up, when my phone was working right and I had a good connection, I brought up the fact that they still have the opportunity to redeem themselves. Because the reality is, if they go out and win the next two games against North Carolina and Clemson, are we still talking about Georgia Tech?
No.
So
you're going to have to win North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
In order for us
absolutely.
not to talk about Georgia Tech. And
absolutely.
Outside of a blind ass Canes fan, who in the hell thinks they're really going to win both of those games?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll say this. North Carolina, I think, is a better team than Clemson. I could see them splitting the next two games. I could see them winning the next two, and then we're still lamenting Georgia Tech because now that's the loss that screwed you from making the playoffs.
And it depends on also how you lose.
Right. Oh, exactly. But I don't think this team is going to, even though we have every reason to believe because of the past, right? The recent past, that these guys are going to lose their minds and completely fall apart like they have. I do think this is a different football team. I do think there are different players on this team. I do think there is enough Matt Lee influence to make sure that they're not going to come out ass backwards against the Tar Heels on Saturday. They're going to come out and they're going to be in that game, in my mind. Are they going to be good enough to win? That's a different question. Because Drake May is a beast, and I think he's going to pick them apart in ways that they haven't been picked apart yet. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know this. They win the next two games, and Mario, he can stand there and stick the middle finger at all of us for calling him an idiot, right? Because he'll just say, well, look.
No, he can never do that. He was an idiot. No. He has to know he was an idiot. And
right.
And if he doesn't know, then he didn't learn his lesson. And
Right.
he'll keep doing the same stupid thing over and over again. So I hope he takes his medicine like a man, and he understands that the criticism he's getting is well deserved. And by the way, he was very unimpressive last year. Okay.
No, there's no question. There's no question. But again,
you follow up this with the season you had last year. Mario has no business to talk. He needs to shut up. He needs to keep his head down, and he needs to get the job done from here on out. And he can't have any more of these situations because last year was a disgrace. It was the worst season I've ever seen in Canes football history. It was the worst coaching I've ever seen, and I've seen some bad coaching lately with the Canes. That was the worst I've ever seen. And then that decision this past week, second worst ever, because Jimmy will always own it with the Fiesta Bowl, because that was a bad decision for 4 quarters.
Right.
That's a hell of a lot worse you're watching it constantly screw up and you don't fix it. That's the ignorance there is even worse. So that's Mario. It still goes down as the second worst Canes decision.
Yeah, I went back and I started looking at all of them yesterday because I was one of the things I wrote for The Athletic, like where does it rank? And I thought, man, the Maryland one, 31-0 at halftime. Like I remember as a kid watching that game and just being like, Jesus, I never would have imagined Miami doing something that terrible. But then I went back and I looked at the actual stats of the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh my God.
And to see that Alonzo Highsmith had 119 yards rushing on 18 carries, and you think to yourself, man, what would have happened if he had 24 carries, right? Like, where would we be right now?
Just hand them off. Just hand them off, and you would have won the title. No problem. They had 8 in the zone.
Yeah.
They were pushing 3. And he kept passing into what they wanted them for you to do.
Yeah.
And it was like how stupid can you be? And
Yeah.
so no matter what you think about Mario's decision, it is not worse than Jimmy Johnson in the Fiesta Bowl.
No. And then the O2 I mean the Fiesta Bowl where they lost to Ohio State is another one where just
but that's the referee and a bad call.
But you go back and you look at that tape and you think about the talent on that team and you're just like, Jesus, you're just like, what a waste. What a waste again. This is what Miami does. Like, I think this is one thing we have to take away too from this. Big O is as great as Miami has been over the years and the championships they've won, the championships they've played for, really wasn't coaching that ever put them over the top. It was always the talent. It was always the abundance of talent.
The first one.
The first one was coaching because Schnellenberger coached his ass off and they did a great job against Nebraska. But after that, like how many great coaching jobs were really done? No, it was accumulation of talent, which to me goes back to why Mario's the right guy, because he can accumulate talent. And I don't know that anybody else that's really, since Butch left, there's anybody who can do it like that. So.
Yeah, can't argue with that one. All right, what do you got going on in The Athletic? So folks can check it out, my friend.
I was busy this weekend. This loss put me to work. So I got a lot of stories written up in The Athletic. I got a new podcast out for the Wide Right Podcast. So if you want to read about Kneegate and, a bunch of stuff, Heisman Trophy stuff going on, Heisman voting. We did our straw poll this week. I put a Louisville kid in my top 3, by the way. Their defensive tackle, this kid, Ashton Jalad, who's 6.5 sacks, who saw Louisville coming. I know some people thought dark horse. I'm like, man, Louisville beaten Notre Dame. They've 6-0. They deserve a little bit of love. So I wrote about him. So, plenty to read, man. We got a ton of college football content. Ari Wasserman, who hosts our Until Saturday podcast, does a great job. He's got a lot of hot takes on college football. So plenty to read there, and I'll have more on the Canes. I got a mailbag I got to answer. I got a lot of angry people in my mailbag this week.
Oh, really?
Who knew? Who knew?
Wonder why. By the way, they'll go from angry to extremely pissed if things don't go well in the next 2 weeks. So
yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's the other thing that Mario has put himself now in a position, brother. You have no more room for any error, any screw ups, nothing anymore. You lost every ounce of patience that there might have been left with any fans with you now. Now you better be performing at a high level from here on out, or you will be extremely criticized for any screw up that you make from here on out. Now,
absolutely. You're 100% right. His grace period. Every Miami coach seems to hit that wall in their first or second year, right? Like that loss, that moment where, you think back to Manny Diaz, it was the loss to FIU. The moment they lost to FIU, right? It was, hey, you're on an 0-2 count, brother.
Right.
You better not swing and miss.
Yeah.
So
Mario better be perfect from here on out, because people are gonna. There's already a ton of people that don't. They're already off his bandwagon. They want him fired, whatever. Because it was such a ridiculous decision, that like an elementary decision that should have been made. It's a shame.
Yep.
Follow him on Twitter, Manny_Navarro. Follow him on X. I'm sorry, whatever. Manny, have a great week, my brother. We'll catch up later on in the week.
All right, brother. Talk to you later. Take care.
Got it. Canesware 2566 South University Drive in Davie. They got anything and everything practically with the Canes logo on it. Hey, use our code Big O10 and you will get 10% off. So you can buy hats and shirts and jerseys, all kinds of stuff. Miami Dolphin, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Florida Panthers. Hockey season starts now. So they got anything and everything in there. All our local teams, man. They got all kinds of stuff. So go check it out. And again, if you go in person or online, use our code Big O10 and you'll get 10% off at caneswear.com.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
You know, I see Brandon Flood says, turns out Georgia Tech's last TD wasn't a TD, LOL. ACC won't pick up the phone. I find it even pathetic that the Hurricanes are asking the ACC to review their play. Because it has nothing to do with that play. Mario Cristobal and the Canes got exactly what they deserved. A loss. So, you know, it's just you can't hide from this stupidity. And I'm a Mario Cristobal guy, but I have no problem telling you whenever I'm wrong. And I'm not ready to say I'm wrong yet about Mario Cristobal. I still think he's the right guy for it, but I'm not going to absolve him or give him a break from this. I didn't absolve him or give him a break from last year. I'm the only one in town that keeps saying that was the worst year of Hurricanes football ever. And Mario Cristobal owns it. Nobody has written that. Nobody has said that on QAM or anywhere else. They don't have the balls to say that. I do. And I'm a Mario guy. And Mario is doing a great job of proving me wrong, because that's the pace he's on right now, to prove me wrong. We'll see what happens, but got to find a way to get it done. But the ACC should send a laughing emoji back to the University of Miami. Like, you guys want us to review that? Really? Come on. Get out of here, you fools. That's what I hope they do. They don't even they just laugh at them. That's what you should do to the University of Miami. Laugh at them. We know it wasn't a fumble, but I don't care about it. I don't. After that decision, I'm not going to bail you out. And I hope the ACC doesn't bail you out. Now I know what you are as a coach, dude. Now I need to find out if Mario Cristobal is a good game day coach. Because I watched you all last year, dude. You sucked. And then to watch what you did this past week, that's disgraceful. And Mario Cristobal, you know, I hope he looks in the mirror and says, I got to be way better, dude. There's no breaks here. None. We don't do that on this show. We call it like we see it. Unfortunately for Mario Cristobal, we're going to call it like we see it. And I'm a Mario Cristobal guy, but I'm not going to lie for him just because I want to be right. I don't do that shit. I'm wrong, and I happily will tell you, hey, dude, I screwed up. I got this one wrong. I thought this, and this is what happened. Got no problem. It's going to happen to me a whole ton. I'll be right a lot, but I'm also going to be wrong. I got no problem with that. And I'm not wrong yet about Mario. And those of you that wanted Mario, we're not wrong yet. But man, he's not helping us. Not helping us. I don't care what talent you get. If these are the decisions you're making, if you're losing to Middle Tennessee State and you're losing to Georgia Tech, I don't have a lot of hope for you, dude. You couldn't even make a bowl game last year, right? Right? They didn't make a bowl game last year, right? Wasn't that the case, Sean? I think they didn't make a bowl game last year, right? The Canes? They weren't even eligible for a bowl. Or did they turn it down at 6 wins or whatever? I mean, pathetic. No Canes team should ever be in that position.
I'm going to look it up now, but I think they were one of the 5 loss teams that was, or the 5 win teams that was sent the invitation and denied it, I believe. But let me double check that. I don't see anybody answering yet on the chat.
Yeah, they had 5 wins. Like, you're pathetic. No Canes team should have 5 wins. Mario Cristobal was a joke last year, dude. His coaching was a bigger joke than what he did this past week. Last year. It was a disgrace. I was embarrassed for Mario Cristobal last year. I hope he was embarrassed. Because he showed me he couldn't make anything out of something. And that was disturbing. And then you do that, you do this shit this week. Mario better coach his ass off in the next 2 weeks. So, if Mario Cristobal just Butch Davis part 2, great recruiter, lousy game day coach? It could be. Could be. So, and yeah, you're right, Papa. Mario did this to himself. You're right. Just a matter of time before these refs screw us again. Well, I'm not going with refs screwed anybody. Mario screwed his team. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not giving Mario any breaks whatsoever. He's not getting off the hook here on this one. Can't. So that was a dumb no-knee call, dumb defensive call. That's it. That's all it is. The play should have never happened. Leave the ACC alone. That's right. Oh, does Mario go victory formation going forward, or does he continue to run the ball? Well, listen, let me tell you, if he continues to run the ball, fire him on the spot. Okay? If he does it ever again, fire him on the spot. Put it that way. That's how stupid and ignorant. The game is on the line. You're going to run the ball when all you got to do is take a knee? Yeah, no. No, if he ever does that again in a game that could be decided by a turnover, yeah, he needs to be fired like right there on the field. Like as the game ends, the AD is right there waiting for you saying, hey, Mario, here's a pink slip. Get the hell out of here. You're not even going on the team plane. You're not even allowed back. And if you're at home, you're not even allowed back in the facility. We'll mail you your stuff. I mean, if you're that stupid to do it again, you don't deserve to be a coach. Yes, sir.
Rule number 10,297 of why you shouldn't watch the talking head shows. David just posts on X. So I guess it's a get up show this morning. What team is the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC? Dan Graziano, Dolphins. Dominique Foxworth, Dolphins. Jeff Saturday, Dolphins. Greeny, the New York Jets.
No. He didn't say that, did he?
Not only, I guess he said it, but it's on the graphic on the screen that Furones took the picture of.
It's the problem with all those shows, that none of them are actually honest. They're all lying, and they all do. It's all shtick. It's all it is, dude. Just to get people going. It's all shtick. It's a real shame. This just in, Mario Cristobal was seen 25 minutes ago kneeling in St. Kevin's Church. That was so depressing. None of the college teams in South Florida last year couldn't make a bowl game. Hurricanes, FAU, FIU. Yeah, the fact that Miami, that's pathetic on Mario Cristobal's part. Big O just tuned in, but I heard Achane is out for weeks. Is that true? Yes, it is. You can rewind, and we talk about it. That should get Greeny fired. No, that'll get him a raise. That's the kind of stupidity they want on those shows, dude. I tell you guys this all the time. They're not about actually, everything nowadays that you watch on television or radio, it's all some kind of shtick. That's all it is. Either you're creating stuff for controversy or you just want to spew hate so you can stir it up because that does really well. And then the Homer stuff also does really well because you don't hurt anybody's feelings. You know what I mean? In a world where people get their feelings hurt, like we do all the time on this show. He runs against North Carolina, stays in North Carolina. Mario, the anti-Kaepernick, he refuses to kneel. Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. So, that's funny. That is funny. All right, let's get to our 3A graphics sports calendar. And, of course, you can call my guy, Alan Blanco, at 3A Graphics in Hialeah if you're looking for custom printing and embroidery. 786-618-1443. That's 786-618-1443. They are at 980 West 22nd Street in Hialeah. And again, your business needs new uniforms. Your business is, doing some kind of a picnic or cookout, or maybe you're all running a 5K, 2K, 20K, whatever it is, and you want to create some shirts. They do it all, man. Your fantasy league, you want to create some, whatever it is that you need custom printing and embroidery for, 3A Graphics can help you out. And our sports calendar, let's go over a couple of things. Last night, it was the Raiders defeating the Packers 17-13 as Las Vegas improves to 2-3 and the Packers drop to 2-3. Mark Davis with the blonde in the box. That was the hot one. Sunday, 1:00, the Miami Dolphins are going to take on the Carolina Panthers. That is also in action for you all. So that is what's going on this week in our 3A Graphics sports calendar. And your Miami Hurricanes on Saturday will take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Yes, looking forward to that also in our 3A Graphics sports calendar. All right. You got Devon Achane, going to be out a few weeks. No word yet on any IR. Jalen Ramsey making progress. I'm guessing early November, first 2 weeks of November. Most people are guessing the second half of November, maybe early December. I'm going to go early November. I think he's going to shock the world and come out somewhere in the first 2 weeks of November. Nick Needham and Robert Jones are right now in the 7th day of their 21-day window to be activated. Dolphins, the spread went from 14 to 13.5. The over and under is 48.5. Panthers are plus 575 on the money line. Dolphins minus 850 on the money line. So it's pretty cool to see the Dolphins as a double-digit favorite. Even if you're playing these crappy teams that you're supposed to beat and all that, but the normal Dolphins that we used to deal with for 30 years would never be favored by that much. So it's pretty cool. It's fun. No A-chain, by the way, for the Eagles. So that sucks, but you got depth and you'll be fine. So that's the good thing. Let's see. Green has that stupid 8 on the wall to simply jinx the Jets to the max. Oh, Greeny, you're talking about. Yes. Ramsey starts versus the Raiders. What week is the Raiders? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I don't memorize what day is what. So you're predicting what day is that? Chan has been the most exciting rookie we have had in a while. Hope he comes back 100%. We all do. Would be nice. Let's get to a little music and entertainment. You know, we love talking a little music and entertainment. By the way, tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be at Piper's Pub to go see a little George Lynch action. So if anybody's going to Piper's Pub in Pompano, little hole in the wall, but George Lynch is going to be there, and, you know, an outing to see George Lynch is always a good thing. What else do we have? We have Depeche Mode on Thursday night at the Kaseya Center. Friday, next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, the Black Crowes, Aerosmith, of course, Black Crowes opening up at Amerant Bank Arena, or Amerant Bank Arena is how it's pronounced. Also on October 20th, that Friday, The Church is at the Culture Room on the 20th and the 21st, Friday and Saturday. 21st, Beach Boys at the Pompano Beach Amphitheater. Sunday, the 22nd, Ed Sheeran at Hard Rock Live. Buddy Guy, also Sunday, the 22nd, with Los Lobos at the Pompano Beach Amphitheater. That's pretty cool. So those are some of the concerts coming up. Let me give you some birthdays today on October 10th. Who is celebrating birthdays today? Let's go with the never-aging Mario Lopez. Yes, Saved by the Bell. The dude is 50 years old, and maybe he looks like he's 25 still. It's amazing. Marina Diamandis, pop singer, is 38 years old today. Let's see. I'm running into a lot of famous names today. Da Vinci, TV actor. He is 28. Cupid, R&B singer, 41. Maya, R&B singer, 44. Brett Favre is 54 today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 49. Rose McIver, the TV actress, she is 35. David Lee Roth is 69. Geno Smith is 33. Gavin Newsom, who is a terrible politician, is 56. Soulja Boy is 35. Lizzie Hale. If Pat Benatar and Joan Jett, if we got their genes and we melded them together, you would create Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. She is 40 today, and she is a rock goddess. Jody Lynn O'Keefe, she of the, what was the name of that show with San Francisco Scene, Don Johnson and Cheech Marin, and they were cops, and the yellow convertible. She was the daughter of him in that show. I forgot the damn name. Jody Lynn O'Keefe. She was a hottie in those days. So I got to give her credit there. And then let's go with a little music history. October 10th. I know one of you will get the damn show for me. In 78, on this date, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, and Joe Perry were injured after a cherry bomb was thrown on stage during a show in Philadelphia, where the Animals live. Anyway, for the rest of the tour, the group performed behind a safety fence. You only have to do it in Philadelphia where the Animals are at. By the way, for those of you going to the Eagles game, don't go in a Dolphins jersey. In 1902, Gibson Mandolin Guitar Company was formed. 34 years later, they would produce their first electric guitar. In 78, Steve Perry joined Journey as the new lead singer. In 2006, on this date, Sting released songs from the Lambreth, an album of the 16th century lute songs. In 2004, 12 years to the day after their album Automatic for the People topped the charts in the UK, R.E.M. were at it again at number 1 in Britain with their record Around the Sun. The effort only made it to 13 spots in the States. That's because it wasn't that good of an album. In 2001, U2 kicked off their third leg of the Elevation Tour in South Bend, Indiana, inviting the world to watch the gig through free webcast on their website. In 2009, Pearl Jam had their fourth number 1 album with their 9th effort, Backspacer, topped the charts. That's what happened today in music history. There you go. And now, Anthony Chang. Oh, yes. What are you going to say?
Jonathan Jensen, man of 1,005 holds. Got it. Is Nash Bridges.
Nash Bridges. That's it. That's it. Nash Bridges. I enjoyed that show, actually. That was a fun show. Nia Peebles was on there doing some karate stuff and all that. Yeah. Yeah, they had a couple. They brought in this other girl who didn't age well. That was she was also a cop. She had light eyes and dark hair. She used to look really good in those days. Hasn't aged well. Forgot her name too. It was actually an entertaining show. I got to admit. It was an entertaining show. It was fun. Anyway, let's get to it, baby. Let's talk a little basketball. Yes, sir, with our BaptistHealth.net/ortho Miami Heat report and the great Anthony Chang.
Heat fans, the fast break is on. It's our Baptist Health of South Florida Heat report with insider Anthony Chang. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net. Here's Anthony Chang.
All right. There he is. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Good, Big O. How are you?
Very good. You know, I had this conversation with Ira. I want to bring it up to you because you cover what I think is the most, or the best basketball coach we've ever had in this town. Yes, I said it. Okay. The best basketball coach we've ever had in town, and his versatility, the way he has handled so many different rosters that are completely different from one to another, and everyone has success with this man. Okay, which is effing impressive, by the way. Right. On top of all of that, and I think you know, I'm a huge Spo believer. And so I've had this conversation with several people out there. And does Belichick kind of get exposed now? Because he can't do jack shit without Tom Brady. And, you know, Shula didn't win the Super Bowl with the Colts, but he got to the Super Bowl with the Colts. He won it with the Dolphins. But then he got there again with Woodstock, and he got there again with Marino. So 4 different teams he got to a Super Bowl with, won it twice with a group of 1. You know, I look at Andy Reid. I look at Phil Jackson. I can go on and talk about Larry Brown. Wherever he went, the team went to the playoffs. Even if it was the freaking Clippers he took to the playoffs. You know, great coaches Saban wins a championship at LSU and then wins it at Alabama. You know, if you're a great coach, you will show your colors constantly with different people. What's going on in New England? Does this take away from his accomplishments? And have we taken the lazy route by calling him the GOAT simply because of the 6 rings?
Football is different than basketball, right? Like in football, and you know this better than I do, especially in the NFL, you need a really good quarterback to be good. Like that's the most important position in the sport. And in basketball, you need one really good player to probably be a playoff team. And Eric Spoelstra's had that with Jimmy Butler, who's a top 10 player in the top 10 two-way player in the league. Patriots, Mac Jones, not a very good quarterback, right? I think we've come to.
Nobody gets Jimmy Butler to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of 4
No,
years.
I'm not taking the credit away from Eric Spoelstra. He's maximized Jimmy, but Jimmy is a top 10 talent. He just is. He's
yeah, but he maximizes
right.
LeBron. He maximizes Bosch.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That
yeah, but those were all-star caliber players before they arrived to the Heat, right? Even Jimmy was an all-star before.
Those guys you make better. That's impressive, actually.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. No, it's a fair point. I think we can't forget about what Belichick did for as long as he did. Obviously, we're now it's confirmed to us that Tom Brady had a big hand in that, right? And the weapons Tom Brady had. I mean, having Gronk for as long as he did was huge for Tom Brady.
Great receivers.
No, he had an all-time tight end and solid receivers. He had Wes Welker, who was obviously a very good receiver for a long time, a slot receiver, but he didn't have Randy Moss for a couple years.
Yeah, and didn't win it. He didn't win it with Moss.
Right, they lost in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I just think it comes down to not having a good quarterback, right? I mean, yes, you could blame some of it on Bill Belichick for sure, but there's only so much you could do when you don't have the talent you need to win games in the NFL at that position.
Shula got to the Super Bowl with Wood Strock.
It's a different, but the sport's different now, Big O. The big quarterback is like more important than ever now.
But Baltimore got there with Trent Dilfer. Bro, Peyton Manning couldn't throw the ball for 10 yards.
That defense led the way. Yeah. No, that's true. That's fair.
I'm just saying, you got to show me something.
Yeah, that's fair. No.
Bro, he can't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, they're getting blown out. Yeah. I mean, it's...
No, he can't make the playoffs at all without Tom Brady.
Right.
That's pretty bad, dude. That's why I'm saying that. Like, you got to show me something, dude.
Yeah.
Without Tom Brady. You have shown me nothing with Tom Brady. And I see great coaches all the time. They show me something, dude.
Right. You win at least 9 games or something like that. Let's fight for a playoff spot.
Sneak into the playoffs.
Get into the playoffs. Yeah. Right. And I think the expectation was, I mean, not in this division, it would have been tough, but that they would be like an 8 or 9 win team, maybe be on the bubble, in those last few weeks of getting into the playoffs. But as we've seen the last month, they're not a playoff team, not even close.
No, and that's why we have to be so appreciative of the guy you watch, cover every day, and we watch, because what Spo does every single year is just. It's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, no, he's great at what he does. And it's like you said, he's a versatile coach. He's willing to mold his system around the personnel he has. Right. And that is the trait of a really good coach.
Right. And that's what Shula did.
Yeah.
The Greasy team was completely different than Woodstock, and the Woodstock team was completely different than Marino. And so he changed depending on what he had. And to me, that's, I look at Larinaga and Coral Gables, bro. He does the same shit all the time. You know what I mean? It's like his teams change every 3-4 years, and he's ready, and they're completely different. And to me, that's the greatness of a coach, is that the guy that can turn over rosters and still find a way to win and change things up. And that's why I kind of hold it against him. So who's going to be our surprise player this year? Who's the young guy? Who's the undrafted player? Who's the guy that's going to take that step that is going to all of a sudden, like, wow, they found somebody else? Who is it?
Tyler Hero. No, I'm kidding. I do think Tyler Hero is going to be better this year, and my bold prediction for this season is Tyler Hero is going to lead the team in scoring. He's going to average the most points on the team, which he hasn't done yet in his career. But if we're going to go to like a new face, a guy who really hasn't done anything in the NBA yet, I would point to Cole Swider, who is on an Exhibit 10 contract. He doesn't have a job yet, right? A full-time job yet in the NBA. He's basically on a tryout contract, trying to earn either a two-way deal or maybe the last roster spot, the Heat's regular season roster. He's really impressed. He's kind of the fact that Bam and Eric Spoelstra have both compared Cole Swider to Duncan Robinson. It says something. You can say what you want about Duncan, but for them to compare him to Duncan, it's meaningful. He's a really good shooter, 6'9" with size, can shoot, spot up, a good spot up shooter, can shoot on the move, which the Heat love. So here looking to replace Max Strus, right? And Duncan is going to have a much bigger role and kind of fill that void. But keep an eye on Cole Swider. We'll see, what kind, if he earns a spot in the Heat's roster. But it looks like he's, on track to at least impressing them. And probably I would be surprised if they don't at least give him a two-way deal at this point. He played last year with the Lakers on a two-way deal, and now is in the Heat's developmental system. And that's the kind of guy that he'd love, a guy who could shoot and has size.
A little stretch four action.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the same thing as Duncan, right? Where defense is not his strength. So that's something he has to overcome. But he is an awesome shooter. And you need guys like that around Jimmy and Bam. We say it all the time, right? You can't have enough shooting around those two guys. He could do that. So he's not a perfect player by any means. He's not a finished product. He went undrafted out of Syracuse last year. Again, defense is going to be a little bit of an issue. I don't expect him to play big minutes immediately, but just because of his skill set, I mean, if I had to pick one guy, I'd pick him.
For me, with Tyler, you said something really interesting. My thing with Tyler is, kids, stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know who you are, and I don't know if you'll take that next step to become an all-star or whatever. To me, it's about staying healthy because you haven't been able to finish seasons, and this team has made runs without you. But what you said, man, would that be a welcome for Jimmy Butler? Because if he can lead the team in scoring, then that would lift a burden, from Butler, because he has to, carry this team. And really, offensively, he's not built for that, dude. The guy you were trying to trade for, that's the guy that could help you do those kind of things. And outside of being healthy, that would be the thing. I don't need you to necessarily be an all-star or whatever, but if you could lead this team in scoring, I got to tell you, Anthony, that would be a real blessing for Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and I think, look, I'm not comparing Tyler Hero to Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is one of the top 75 players of all time. He's a future Hall of Famer. But there's a reason why the Heat were trying to trade for Damian Lillard. They want a go-to guy on offense to take some of the pressure off of Jimmy. They want a guy who's could score 30 a game on any given night and is going to put up 15 to 20 shots a game. And Tyler can do that. So I think he sees that. I think he sees that, look, the Heat, this team feels like they're missing that. I could be that. And I think it's also says something that when we talked with Spo last week about the point guard position, and Spo says, well, Kyle Lowry obviously is Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame caliber point guard, has had a Hall of Fame career. He pointed to Josh Richardson as a guy who can play point guard. He pointed to Drew Smith on a two-way deal who could play some minutes at point guard. He did not talk about Tyler Hero, right? And Tyler Hero can play point guard if we need him to. But I think the thinking is we're not going to put Tyler Hero in that role. We're going to put him in a role where he could score. And I think it's telling that he didn't list Tyler Hero on that list of guys who the Heat have tried at point guard in camp. They want Tyler Hero to be put up shots. They want Tyler Hero to score. They want him to be more efficient this year. So I really think that there is a good chance he's going to put up career years. The efficiency might be down a little bit because he's taking more shots, but I think he's going to score a lot this season.
Well, all right, let's hope so, because that would be absolutely huge. Just out of curiosity, are the Heat going to trade for Kai Jones since he wants out?
I don't think so. I don't see that one coming. No, I don't see that. And I saw someone point this out. I think it's against the CBA. You can't
is.
publicly
No.
request a trade.
I think
So
he's gonna be fined 150,000 or some
yeah,
shit.
yeah, it's a tough situation, obviously. And Charlotte's here tonight, so I'm sure the coach will get some questions about that before the game, right? Because I don't think he's spoken to the media since Kai Jones made that request over Twitter. But yeah, that's a tricky situation for sure.
So give me some news on the red, white, pink game. Well, how'd it go?
It was basically like an all-star game. Very little defense played. I think there was one foul committed. Jimmy Butler was taking shots with his left hand with his eyes closed. So there really weren't a ton of takeaways from the game, like serious takeaways. But I guess the one thing is Caleb Martin did not play. He's the only guy who did not take part. He has a little bit of a knee issue that he's been battling for the last month or so. And they're trying to, it hasn't really gotten better. So they're trying to rest it. Obviously, now's the time to rest it, right? You have a couple weeks before the regular season. I would not expect him to play tonight in the preseason opener. So that's something to watch because we all know Caleb Martin is probably the fourth best player on the team at this point, right? They need him healthy. So not a great start, but I think, the hope is that it seems minor right now, but we'll see how it evolves over the next few weeks before the regular season.
How did Jaquez look?
He looked good. I mean, he didn't shoot well from three. I think it was 2 and 9 on threes, which is going to be an important, that's going to be important to how much playing time he gets. Can he make threes consistently? But he showed off his athleticism. We know he's athletic, right? We've talked about it. His vert was really good in the combine. He threw down like 4 or 5 dunks. So you see the skill set. But yeah, he's going to have to obviously get better, continue to get better as a shooter. Defense is going to be big for him. But you definitely see that, he could jump. He has some hops. He was asked after the game if he thinks he's the best dunker on the team. He said no. He still gives that to Bam. But he's definitely one of the top dunkers on the team.
Yeah, no doubt. Impressive young man. What are you predicting for this team this year?
Someone asked me last week, and I spit out 47 wins. Probably a little bit high. It'd be 47 and 35, right? And it all depends on health. But I still think this team, if they're healthy, could be the third best team in the East. And from everything we've heard in camp, Eric Spoelstra players, they want to be more intentional about winning more games in the regular season. They felt like last year they kind of relaxed a little bit. They want to be better in the regular season. So for that reason, and because I still think they're the fourth best roster in the East, I would say 47 wins in that range if they can stay relatively healthy.
Yeah, I think you're playing with fire if you think you're going to go 8 again and then climb all the way
back.
Yeah,
that's an outlier. That's not going to happen. You can't do that again. No.
And then you got to go through the play-in round, and what happens if somebody gets injured and whatever, and you get out in one game and you're in that. No, dude, you don't want to do that stuff again.
No.
But then again, how much is Jimmy Butler going to play? Is he going to miss a quarter of the season?
Yeah. Well, that's a big question, right? That's
the reason why number 8 seed, because he missed a quarter of the season.
He missed like 20 games. Yeah. And he's going to miss at least 10 games, right? Between back-to-backs and all that. He's going to miss at least 10. And then if you throw in there a minor injury, that's 15 to 20 games. So you're looking around 20 games he's probably going to miss. I mean, that's just a given with Jimmy. He's not going to play 75 games. It's just not going to happen at this stage of his career. And honestly, I get it, right? Like we need him to be fresh for the playoffs. They need him to be fresh for the playoffs.
What's their record with this last year?
I forget. It wasn't good. The year before it was okay. The year before, when they were the 1 seed, they somehow won without him a lot. And they won without him and Bam because so many guys were stepping up in their absence. But last year was not good without him.
Yeah. That's why you ended up in 8 seed.
Yeah.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. Catch his work there at the Miami Herald. What do you got going on the Herald, sir?
Yeah, I'll have takeaways from the preseason opener tonight. We'll see who plays, who doesn't play. Obviously all eyes will be on the starting lineup. If the regulars are out there, we'll see who starts, who's in the rotation. I expect most guys in uniform probably to play tonight. They're going to give probably a lot of second half run to guys in the back end of the roster. So it'll be interesting. It's our first extended look at what this could look like So check it out tonight. I'll have takeaways from that. And, even tomorrow morning, if it's too late for you, wake up, go to MiamiHerald.com and read my takeaways from the preseason opener.
There it is. Anthony Chang. Anthony, as always, appreciate you, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week.
Thanks, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Our BaptistHealth.net/ortho Miami Heat report, and the staff at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care is comprised of highly specialized, board-certified, and fellowship-trained orthopedic physicians, supported by advanced practice providers and athletic trainers, all of whom play a vital role in the patient's experience. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care has locations from Monroe to Palm Beach County.
The Baptist Health of South Florida Miami Heat Report with Anthony Chang is brought to you by Baptist Health of South Florida. From orthopedics, sports medicine, cardiovascular, and even cancer. Get the world-class healthcare your family deserves at BaptistHealth.net.
There you go. And you are correct. Thank you, man of 1,005 holds. It is Yasmin Bleeth that I was talking about. She was the hottie that was in Nash Bridges. So yes, you are correct, sir. Yep. But apparently she did not age well. Okay. Let me see if I can find a Yasmin Bleeth. She's like the rest of us. Unfortunately. Here we go. So, yeah, unfortunately, Yasmin, there you go. A little before and after. Can I get rid of this damn thing? I don't know. Can you see it there? There we go. So there she is in Baywatch. Because she was in Baywatch before she was in Nash Bridges. So obviously she must have had a body if she was in Baywatch. And so, yeah, she changed a little bit over the years. Just a tad. Yasmin Bleeth. Smoke show. When sports and business collide, we like doing something called the KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. Well, as you all know, I always love having fun with the Cowboys because they are king chokers. And Sunday night's game on NBC generated an audience of 26.1 million viewers. It's a little lower than last Sunday's Chiefs-Jets game that was 27 million. But then again, you had Taylor Swift and all that other stuff. This week's game was a laugher, a disaster, non-competitive in all respects, and a 42-10 game, which shows that the Cowboys... they bring the ratings, but it's amazing, right? It's got to be, I don't know, you Cowboy fans, like your team is the most hyped team in the world, and your team constantly chokes. It's amazing to me. Anyways, Cowboys Micah Parsons, he took exception with George Kittle, who was wearing a shirt that said F Dallas. So Parsons was like, I just feel like he's making it way more personal than it has to be. He said it on a Bleacher Report podcast. He says, Kittle's my guy, but I'm going to say this, laugh now, cry later. We got something for that. Just trust. If we see them again, just trust. If you want to make it personal, we can make it personal. Does Micah Parsons know that he plays with some guy named Dak Prescott? Micah, you're writing checks your body can't cash, baby. You play for the Dallas Choke Boys. Okay? All kinds of players have talked shit for the Cowboys. None of them live up to it. Why? Because your team never lives up to it. It's pretty amazing. You're insulted that somebody wore a shirt that said F Dallas. What should they say? It's hilarious. I found that funny as hell. But hey, on the business side, Dallas is good for business. 26 million people. Watch your debacle. That is your KSDT CPA Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
All right. Now, you know, injuries happen in this league, and the Jets have had their share of injuries. They lost their quarterback, but you know how the quarterback thinks he's going to come back early and he's going to come back and help the Jets, and you guys keep us alive, this, that. Jets with more bad news. Elijah Vera Tucker, their best offensive lineman. He's out for the rest of the year with a torn Achilles tendon after an MRI revealed that yesterday. So they placed him on the IR. The 24-year-old, the 2-year starter, is done for the year. He's in the third year of a $15.8 million contract that included an $8.9 million signing bonus. And I'm sure the Jets will pick up his fifth-year option because he's a hell of a player. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, this offensive line was terrible. Maybe one of the three worst offensive lines in football. Not maybe, guaranteed. With Elijah Vera Tucker. So now you lose him. Is Aaron Rodgers really going to be in a hurry to come back from this? I mean, if I'm him, I'm not talking that smack anymore because you don't want to do that, bro. You don't want to come back for that offensive line, period. Now you lose like the only really good lineman you have. Yeah, I think that's over. Not that I think he was going to come back anyway. Okay? All right? But just kind of funny. I mean, really funny. By the way, Essential Moving Experts. We love talking about Sean Williams and the great people at Essential Moving Experts. 844-368-5750 or 386-213-4054. Long moving services, home moving services, long distance moving services, office relocation. Over 1,700 happy customers have filed in and said, hey, man, moving was never so easy. Then with Essential Moving Experts, please call them. They're in Daytona. That's where their home offices are, but they service the entire country. Again, 386-213-4054. Flat rates, no surprise charges. EssentialMovingExperts.com. Shula almost went to the playoffs with Scott Mitchell. Yes. Shula did an amazing job, dude. He just kind of ran out of gas at the end. That's all. If Dallas faces San Fran in the playoffs, they will lose by 50 next time. Yeah, it's funny. San Fran's already in the NFC title game versus Philly. This season, the NFC is just going through the motions or the paces, he's saying. But I would imagine motion is what you're talking about. Jim Mad Dog Mandage said, when the magic carpet ride comes to your team, hang on for the ride. Hell yeah. EB says, support a good coach even when he's down. You won't find one better recruiter. In-game stuff is fixable. Let's hope so. Let's hope so, because Mario Cristobal is going to have to do some fixing. And quickly, and get it done. And he better show some great coaching in the next 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. Because I don't know how he survives, to be quite honest. people will get on his ass if he's losing these games. He created a really bad situation for himself, dude. He really did. I want to feel bad for him, but I can't, only because I don't know how you make that decision you made. That's really the issue, you know? So there's no other way of looking at it. By the way, we thank Cameron Wolf. We thank Manny Navarro, Safid Dean, Anthony Chang. We also talked to Ira Winderman. That'll be dropping also. You'll get that. So that'll be coming your way here on the platform. We thank Sean Stanley, the man, the myth, the legend that knows how to get it done every single day here on the show. Most of all, we thank all of you out there for tuning in. Please smash the like button. Watch the channel as much as possible. Even if you got to walk away, let it play. Walk away, let it play. All right. Visit our great sponsors, Cutter's Edge Pro, Acura Pembroke Pines, Caneswear, Welton Rayom, KSD TCPAs, Perdomo Cigars. We got some great sponsors. Please make sure you visit all of our sponsors. We will see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, same bat channel.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.